What the fuck? Apparently my previous stream is sharing the money because it's my cover of something, which I don't know. Does that mean it's like video revenue? I want to actually look this up. I want to see if it's donations. Who fucking knows? Also, by the way, guys, something I wanted to talk about is there had been discussions that I'd have to take a streaming break, but I might actually be able to stream in when I'm away. But I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it. I just want to see what this sharing is. No, who knows? Howdy from New York. Hello from the UK. Playing League of Legends whilst watching this. Unlucky you, bro. Should be playing Dota. Getting a burger. Nice. Nice. Good for you. I'm not doing that. I'm streaming. And yeah. Hi, everyone. Did you have a nice weekend? I was at the protest. And it was decent, yeah. It was a protest. But yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at my YouTube notifications. I just got one that said, "You are the liar." That would... Yeah, I think I'll be able to stream. I'll let you know. Hair looks insane. It's because I have been wearing my headset, but also I washed it, but I didn't put shampoo in it yesterday, so it needs another wash today. And yeah, but I think it looks quite nice. My hair. Frig the Yankees from Boston. Is this a reference to what's it called? But like baseball? I don't know. I have no idea. Does anyone have any tips for League of Legends? Yeah, start playing Dota, bro. Right, we got a few things to cover. We got Louis Theroux being called out. Also, has anyone seen this trend of just everyone on TikTok just hating Ethan Klein? Maybe I should add that to the title. Yeah, better analysis. Bit confused by baseball, indeed. Yeah, maybe I should add everyone hates. Everyone on TikTok hates. Because I don't really know why. I'm not actually sure. Sending you an evening, Governor from London. Hello, AC. I was just in London. But yeah, Brit confused by baseball. Dota is genuinely a horrible game. No, it's wicked. I'm wicked at Dota. One day I'll play Dota on stream. Cliff's hair looking wild and free today. Is my hair really looking that wild? It probably needs a cut. It's really long. It's long and thick. I need to maybe get a bit more taken off next time because I won't have a haircut for 5 weeks. But it probably just also needs shampoo. Are you going back to London for the 17th? Why would I go for the 17th? What's happening on the 17th? Protest London. Oh, Trump not welcome. I've forgotten about that. Maybe, I don't know. No, cutting the hair, we don't like haircuts in the chat. It's long and thick, hell yeah. Dota stream with the Qatari Quantum PC. Hell yeah, that's the kind of plans we're talking about. You know it, bro. You know that the Qatari streaming PC is coming in. You know it's coming in, bro. Right, let's start with a bit more UK news to upset you people. Also, there's actually something that I wanted to look at. Someone was saying that apparently the UK housing crisis isn't caused by a lack of building homes, that it's actually just affordability of homes. So we'll actually have a look at this, because it might be a long-ass article, though. Let's see if I can webpage archive it, because I'm not paying for the fucking Financial Times. Um, I was meant to get a haircut. I didn't get a notification. Unlucky. Let's have a look at this UK related. So this guy is... Oh, actually, wait. There's probably a better video to watch.
We can stop the small boats crisis. It's not a crisis, it's a manufactured crisis. And actually, we could have safe and legal routes. This has been a manufactured crisis by the Conservative government and now the Labour government to create a backlog, to remove processing centres and to dehumanise some of the most vulnerable people in the world.
I saw someone today reporting that like the vast majority of people that are coming to the UK are coming from like Sudan, Iran, Afghanistan, that these are like top 5... Oh, here you go. Here it is. Almost 3/5 of detected irregular arrivals in the UK this year were from 5 nationalities: Afghans, Iranians, Syrians, Eritreans, and Sudanese. I mean, like, most of these aren't really surprising. Like, Sudanese people coming, fleeing, like, heinous violence and this kind of stuff. So, like, not surprising. Iranians, like, people seeking asylum. Also, especially fucking Kurdish Iranians are going to be coming here because, like, persecuted minority groups, so even more difficult. Political prisoners and stuff. Afghans, fucking unsurprising as well. But, like, you look at this. The most common nationality detected irregularly arriving in the latest year were Afghans. People fleeing the Taliban, which is a direct result of American policy over, like, decades upon decades, you know.
World. Now, I accept not everyone is fleeing for their life. I accept that not everyone is fleeing from persecution. But let's start there. Lots of people are. And lots of people...
But, like, the main countries, you could kind of just sit there and say, actually, the main countries people are fleeing for their lives and are fleeing. I guess there are also people who come here seeking just a better opportunity. But even then, that's kind of like, you know, just hope of something better than this.
Who then get to this country, having travelled on a perilous journey, then when they appeal for asylum, do receive asylum. So the idea that lots of people are coming here and they are not deserving of coming here is the first thing that needs challenging. I'll go further than that, though. If someone is coming to this country and they're an economic migrant, so they're not a refugee, they're not someone seeking asylum from a safe country, but they just want to come to this country because they want a better life or they see a better life in this country, what kind of message are we sending if we want this country to be so bad that we don't want these people to come here? I think we should want a country that people want to live.
Hello, Silent Scythe. Hello, everyone who's here. And there will be no Mohawk. Might be crazy, but I think the asylum seeker who are living 6 people to 1 bedroom apartment are not the problem. Crazy, right? Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
The legitimate question is are you going to pay money in tax? Are you going to work hard? Are you going to contribute to this country? And the answer, extraordinarily so when you look at data, is migrants are so much more likely to put money into our taxation system than they ever are.
Like, they all have a PS5 and they all just play PS5 all day. That's all migrants do. They all have iPhone and PS5 and the government gives them all our money. And if they didn't, they would all go to homeless people.
To take out in social security and welfare. And just the final thing is we have an ageing population. We have masses of vacancies in the NHS. Sure, we need to train British people or people who are born in Britain for those jobs. But also, what is wrong with a migrant running our public services or contributing to this country? Again, as a patriot and someone who believes in progressive patriotism, I'm really proud that loving your country and loving your neighbour recognises that so many Black and Asian communities in this country right now are terrified. Now, they're not necessarily even migrant communities. They might have been people who have lived here for generations, but they are still terrified because the whole frame...
Yeah, I was listening to Adam Tooze talk about this, like his one on migration, and he was just talking about like how kind of, when you think about it, the people who were brought... He was talking about this in the context of when there was a recent, like, flare-up after the the ice raids in LA, like the protests. So this was a few months ago. But when he was talking about that, what he said is. What he said was that, like, you know, how this is kind of like just an accepted part of the economy, how like precarious this employment is. And it's the same here, you know, like Deliveroo, Uber, all of these companies have just preyed on this and have just, you know, expanded on the basis of just employing undocumented workers. It's not like they actually know.
Of the migration.
Anthony Van... Oh, God, Lonerbox's post... Lonerbox just tweets so fucking weirdly, man. Like, Lonerbox is an odd guy. Like, just a deeply weird character. Maybe I should add that to the title. Lonerbox versus Anthony. This is just so... Like, sorry. I'm sorry. I'll actually just look at it now because this is so weird. Fuck. I'm sorry. Maybe I can explain. Like, what is that? Also, I saw Bad Empanada noticing... Why does he type in like a lowercase? Like, what's that all about? Clueless purity testing R words like you should be avoided like the fucking plague. It's also really funny because Lonerbox met with Yishai Fleischer, who's Ben Gavir's spokesperson, who took America around, who took you know, Ben Gavir around America when he visited. And Lonerbox's reaction to him and, like, the end of their meeting ended with them high-fiving and having, like, a great time together. A lot of his tweets feel like bait. I don't know what this guy was wrong with this man. No amount of placating will ever satisfy you because what you're doing is not politics. The only thing you build with this kind of exclusionary bullshit is a cult. I mean, it's kind of just like waiting for or expecting people to be willing to call out Israel doing genocide. People like this aren't in the conversation out of curiosity or a desire to change anything. Why do you type like this? Like, what is this? What's the reason that someone would type like this? Like, why do you do this when it's like you type in lowercase even after a full stop? It seems like an annoyance. People like this aren't in the... blah, blah, blah. The Middle East not only exists to them as a means of moral self-aggrandizement, which is why, for all the presence they've amassed on social media, they've been utterly useless for people they pretend to care about. No, bro, it is very difficult to change things when all of our governments are unequivocally supportive of it. And the fact that you sit here and call it a cult when what it actually is saying, hey, we don't want any more of this just two-state paying notion to this bullshit when, like, or paying, like, just Jews to just saying... oh, you know, I really think that there's like this two-state solution kind of thing, and you just have to say that, and you pay your due, and that is it, you're done with it. Like, you kick the can down the road. No, say unequivocally that you are against Israeli genocide, or fuck off. There's your problem. Call Zionism what it is, a racist, settler colonial movement. Don't accept this placation, this bullshit that is not enough, not acceptable. But, like, at the same time, like, this man does not care. And also, just about, like, saying, like, the Middle East should... I'm also not talking about typo. I'm talking about the fact that he intentionally types in lowercase. That's different. But wait, if I put out a tweet now, is that just a feature when you type on the... Oh, no, wait, I didn't even realise, because I don't tweet from my computer. It just does... it doesn't correct it. But even then, if I'm typing... on my computer, I'll just add like some grammar at least, and then check it when I tweet, but I don't know. Okay, so actually, you know what? Tweeting in lowercase comes from tweeting on the PC. That's what I'm saying. But when you talk about the Middle East and caring about it, like, I really want radical change in the Middle East. I don't want Middle Easterners to be governed by dictators. I really don't want that to be a thing anymore. And the way to do that is to move to unequivocally condemn American interference and our support for dictatorships. Not to sit here and go, oh, everyone's keeps saying it's a genocide and moralizing on what they say. They've been utterly useless for the people they pretend to care about. At best, they may have slightly contributed to boosting Hamas's morale with some mostly symbolic victories in the propaganda war and given them a reason to keep fighting whilst Gazans pay the price for their actions. I mean, it's just not true. Like, Israel, what is going on there is Israel is genociding Palestinians. Palestinians aren't paying the price because of what Hamas are doing. Israel openly says that they are going to carry on doing it, whatever. And they were doing ethnic cleansing and expulsion of Palestinians prior to October the 7th. But of course, you know, it's just like, but yeah, like, it's just ridiculous. And also, by the way, Palestinians care about this. If you actually talk to or knew Palestinians who live there that aren't like Ahmed Fouad al-Khatib and stuff, most Palestinians who live in Gaza say that the solidarity is good, is nice, that they like it. that they think that it makes them feel better, that they're not alone in this genocide. So what do we sit there and do? Just make videos where we deny all atrocities and build a community of Israeli soldiers? I don't know what Loner Box is. I think he's just a deeply unwell person who just likes getting money for supporting Israel. Like, he seems so miserable and sad. Like, if you ever listen to him speak, he seems like a sad fucker. But, mostly symbolic. And also, I don't think it's boosting. You can bully half the planet into screaming genocide, and it won't move you into an inch to solving the conflict. Decolonize yourself, dumb cunt. I also just love that that's how he speaks to everyone. Just says that kind of stuff to people, you know. But support a Palestinian state. Don't like Hamas, Bibi, Hezb, or the Houthis. It's kind of crazy because, like, why are you including the Houthis in that? But, you know, the Houthis aren't even a designated terrorist organization. Still have faith in Marwan Barghouti. So why do you sit there and justify Israel? Israel are the ones who've kept Marwan Barghouti in a prison for, decades, who have killed so many people who try to advocate like him, who work with the Palestinian Authority, who do these kind of things, who continue to oppress, like, non-violent Palestinians. Don't think it's wise to try and destroy Israel. I mean, what is the other option to dismantling Israel? And to make... Because, by the way, dismantling Israel is to make it no longer a Jewish supremacist state, because there is such a problem with having a Jewish supremacist state that it has shown that all they want to do is continually take land away from Palestinians. That is what they want, that they don't want a two-state solution. They are the ones who have held the power. They are the ones who kicked the can down the road after October the 7th. So he hates all Hamas, even agriculture ministers. I mean, this is just the world in which these people live. This is just not a good or nice person. He is just a horrible character.
Immigration crisis is a racist, fascist frame. And the Green Party are the party that will tell the truth on that. Now, are the people shouting at racist or fascist? Absolutely not. Lots of them are very concerned that they can't get an NHS appointment, that they can't get a council house, that there's a sense...
The only thing, I don't know if his family is actually phalangist. I just think they're Christians, and I don't really care about going into Loner Box's, like, family history. Like, I'll be frank, it's just, I don't care. I like it when Chris refers to real people as characters. I mean, he is a fucking character. All these people are just fucking characters and caricatures just playing up in front of a camera. You need to realise that. Don't think it's wise is telling that he really can't defend it or any remotely moral legal basis. That has to be some big gesture. But I mean, I think that the problem is with, like, what Israel is and does is that you just can't have a Jewish supremacist state. Like, if you're a leftist, you should be against identity politics and states that are organised around this kind of, like, oh, it should only be a state for Jewish people, because it isn't protecting Jewish people. The vast majority of Jewish people didn't go to don't live in Israel, and they are safe, and Israel is the thing that is driving a lack of safety, and a continued world in which we're, like, racist and bigoted systems continue to exist is the problem for Jewish people, not whether they have a state in the Middle East. Because once again, the Holocaust didn't just happen to Jewish people, it happened to Slavic people who lived in formal states with armies and stuff, and ultimately when someone stronger came along, they genocided them. They killed because they were believed to be racially inferior. So work towards stamping out every single racist, bigoted ideology before you start talking about how, like, Israel should just be fine forever when it is premised on that.
The country is broken. And you know what? They're right. So the answer is not to blame.
And, like, actually, just on this topic, I just wouldn't give credence to all these fucking racist, like, there are a lot of people who have genuine concerns, but most of those people at those protests are not genuinely concerned, although I'm not sure that's exactly what he said.
Migrants. The answer is not to point at the small boats. The answer is to point at the private jets, the private yachts, and to multimillionaires and billionaires and say, we will fund our public services, we will build council houses, we will invest in our NHS.
I'm just, as well, someone posted a video of Loner Box's position, so let's quickly watch that before we go back.
The problem is like, I think people are just very disproportionate with the ways that they make complaints, and then when you get disproportionate and when you exaggerate or when you throw in false things.
Don't say you should be against identity politics, Chris. I think the statement in isolation is untrue. I mean, I think I agree with Todd McGowan's position that that we're never really self-identical, that we're just not really people who believe in, that we shouldn't just believe and rely on, like, identity, because I don't think any human being is self-identical to the identity that we sort of believe that we would have, you know? Like, I don't think that it's the case.
Then you don't really know where the solutions are. So for the last year or so, when people have been saying there's...
By the way, this is also a genuinely insane take to say that, like, people have been too extreme on the starvation. What Israel has done is and what the Biden administration would do is let Israel starve Gaza for a bit and then let food in. Because Alex Duvall spoke about this in the context of, this is why I found this interesting. Alex Duvall spoke about this in Sudan. In Sudan, in order to get aid in, it would be, like, very complex, because even if you got the RSF and the Sudanese armed forces, so the Rapid Support Forces and the Sudanese armed forces, to stop, Sudan is huge. Sudan is huge. And, like, to bring aid throughout that is just not, like, something that you can do instantaneously. Whereas in Gaza is tiny. Aid could easily be brought in, and that's what Israel did. It operated on this basis of, like, giving bits of aid and not giving aid at certain points. But, like, look, this is what he says. How does the famine in Gaza differ from other famines? And this, by the way, is not just, like, a crazed leftist position. This is being said, like, respectable people, like, fucking Adam Tooze, like, Alex Duvall, so many people. Alex Duvall even condemns Hamas in this fucking thing. So it's not like Lonerbox couldn't come to these conclusions or come towards this, but yeah. And I think that would be Todd McGowan's exact position and point, Molten Panda. Hey, finally caught you live. Nice, Abattoir. I hope you enjoy. But just read this. What's unique in the case of Gaza is that you have on standby, just a few miles away, UN agencies that were running a pretty good distribution system as recently as March. They have the supplies, they have the expertise, they have the plans, they have the funds, and they're not allowed to do it. In comparison to, say, Sudan, where it would be very difficult to actually set up the system. In Sudan, if the two warring sides were to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, getting aid etc. would take weeks, possibly months, because of the logistics and the distances. Even if the top generals have agreed, there are still a bunch of armed groups and warlords and rogue elements in the way that they would have to negotiate with, and infrastructure would take a long time. But in the case of Gaza, all the infrastructure is already there. But in the case of Gaza, that infrastructure is already available and just waiting for an Israeli green light. If the Israeli government decides that this has gone too far and wants the food supply problem to be fixed, they know they have everything for all those kitchens to reopen. They could do it, maybe not tomorrow, but within a couple of days. That's what makes this really unique, a uniquely troubling case of famine. It's not that it's unusual to have man-made famine, to have an army creating, either deliberately or recklessly, a lot of hunger. What's unique is that Israel could stop it if it wanted to, and it's not doing much. This is Gaza experiencing a famine, a conversation with Alex Duvall. And this is what, I think the term that Adam Tooze used is paracausal. No. No. It's not paracausal. I'm not actually sure what it is. But anyway, he described it as like multi-caused, basically.
It's like there's an inevitable famine, and like a famine is like you've got thousands of people dying of starvation like every other week. And obviously that didn't happen.
Famine is defined as widespread deaths from starvation or the interaction of malnutrition and disease. Figures from the global IPC Food Security Initiative show that 133,000 people in Gaza are already experiencing Phase 5 or catastrophic food insecurity. This is the highest classification of food insecurity. It's feared this number could rise to around 345,000 in the winter months. To say that hundreds of thousands of people experiencing catastrophic food insecurity are at risk of dying from starvation or the interaction of malnutrition and disease.
The other thing that, by the way, that he talks about in this is that, let me just see if I can find it, if it's in this one. When you're measuring deaths, you're not just measuring the people who die of starvation. In Gaza, there have been some 300. That will be a very small proportion of the number who actually die because of this deprivation and hunger. So what he's talking about is like how it might be polycausal. That's it. Thank you, boy. It's polycausal. That's it. Because the famine in Sudan is not just caused by, like, you have to realize about how Israel is causing famine in Gaza. It is literally like a fishbowl where they could get rid of it, but they're just not. Like, they are doing this intentionally. And that's not to say that, like, in Sudan people aren't using starvation, or in Yemen starvation wasn't used as a weapon of war. No. Or by Assad and stuff. No, this happened. But it's different in the sense of you could fix this almost instantaneously. Polycausal, yes. I don't know why I couldn't work that out. Chris is in a polycausal relationship, yeah. But he talks about it quite well here. There is in any famine, starvation. It isn't just people going without food. Starvation is a whole cluster of things that happen together, so that most of the children who die in a family, and other adults too, don't actually die of starvation as such. So if our kids get a tummy bug, they might have a day or two off school. Calling it a tummy bug feels so British. So British. What could he have called it? An icky tummy. If a child is malnourished, they may not recover from illness. Then if the child gets another infection and becomes dehydrated, they could die of an acute attack of diarrhea. For example, or when you take a community out of its regular environment, you crowd them into an unsanitary, overcrowded place with sewage in the streets. If one person gets an infectious disease, they'll all get it. Yeah, like, look, this is someone who Lonerbox should be, like, fucking agreeing with. Hamas has several issues of culpability and is responsible for many, including the atrocities of October the 7th. But I would argue that Hamas is not specifically responsible for this famine. Hamas leadership has been incredibly reckless and disregarding of the Palestinian lives. Certainly they knew that the Israeli response would be massive. When you have a ceasefire, both parties have to sign it. It can't be one-sided. And so far, faced with this famine, really ought to be pleading for a ceasefire to save its people, and I don't see them do that. I think in many senses Hamas are sort of pleading for a ceasefire, which is the only part I'd not agree with.
Is not an exaggeration. Keeping a population in a prolonged state of catastrophic food insecurity does not reduce the imminent risk of famine simply because they've been hungry for too long without having died. The risk of famine remains high.
The big problem is that, like aid agencies don't really want to go to certain areas because they're too dangerous.
But
sometimes places will be so lacking in aid that when they do send a convoy in, it gets rushed and then people get shot.
This is actually one of the most despicable, ridiculous justifications. And this is why this guy is like just an extremist. Like, the reason that's happening though, and I remember talking about this when, do you remember there was like I think it was maybe the Flower Massacre. Israel gave the justification, well, there was actually a stampede. But I'm sorry, I can't sit there and think that when you say, oh, well, they just stampeded each other, that's just not a product of like standard human behavior. That's a product of starving people and denying them a right to just basically denying them the right to food. And then of course it'll be a horrifying situation. And you look at the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It's so dehumanizing and barbaric. God, now you're just talking about shitting yourselves. Hamas has been... Yeah, I think Hamas have been pleading for a ceasefire. It's just what Hamas won't accept is mass ethnic cleansing, basically.
According to Lonerbox, the big problem is that aid agencies don't want to go to...
And also, by the way, Israel is the one that just consistently denies aid, that has demonized the UN, UNRWA, all of these organizations.
To certain areas because they're too dangerous. What Lonerbox fails to describe is Israel's deliberate policy of starving Gaza. Aid is held back at the border. Israelis are...
And by the way, there's a really interesting part in... Oh, fuck. I need to now find the other Alex Duval I was reading. Oh, fuck's sake. Hold on. Chris should pause when the chat is so lit so we don't miss what he's saying. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. We're having a profound convo. No one should have to fight for food. Exactly. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here's another interview. Starve, pray, die. On 28th of March 2024, the ICJ issued a provisional order instructing Israel to provide a full spectrum of assistance immediately, unhindered, in full cooperation with the UN. Justice Aaron Barak, the Israeli nominated to sit on the court, also voted for that, making the decision unanimous. The court voted overwhelmingly 14-2 and 15-1 on slightly different measures that providing such assistance was an obligation under the Genocide Convention, implying that should Israel fail to do so, it would not be respecting its obligation to prevent genocide. As you know, Israel has not fulfilled these obligations. The Genocide Convention is first and foremost a convention to prevent genocide. The question of whether there is or is not a genocide is secondary to the question of whether Israel and other states that are parties to the convention are fulfilling their obligations to prevent genocide. They are not doing so. Like, Israel is the one that just ignored the International Court of Justice. Sorry, it's as simple as that. Great interview with literal radical Jude. I got recommended some random dog trainer on YouTube about Gaza. Was very knowledgeable about the settler colonialism. Even normie dog trainers know it's fuck Israel. I mean, 100%. Like, because it's very obvious. And settler colonialism describes Israel. Like, what? When you watch anyone debate, how the hell do you ever claim that Israel is not doing colonialism? Like Lonabox tried to claim this. Just read the Iron Wall. My readers have the general idea of the history of colonization in other countries. I suggest that they consider all the presidents with which they are acquainted and see whether there is one solitary instance of any colonization being carried out on the consent of the native population. There is no such precedent. The native population, civilized or uncivilized, have always stubbornly resisted the colonists, irrespective of whether they were civilized or savage. As simple as that. As simple as that.
Are permitted to stop aid trucks and dump out food. Aid is intentionally destroyed by soldiers. The IDF allows gangs to steal aid.
And this, by the way, was confirmed by the Israeli government that they were funding the guy that a UN memo said was doing this.
And shoots the police officers who attempt to guard it. Aid convoys are being bombed. Bags of food are replaced with bags of sand. These are just a few of the ways in which Israel has carried out the intentional starvation of Gaza. This comes after countless members of the Israeli military
Really great guy, by the way.
and government have explained.
Jabotinsky. Well, no, what, like, and this is the thing. Jabotinsky, right? The reason that Jabotinsky is such a, like, an important-ish source for understanding colonization. I mean, first of all, the Likud party is built off the ideology of Jabotinsky. Like, the closest living protege of Jabotinsky was Menachem Begin, who built the Likud party. And Menachem Begin was like the hero of the Israeli far right. And the reason that he was the hero, and stopped being the hero at a certain point, was basically because he failed in that he gave the Sinai back to Egypt during the negotiations. It was understandable of American Indians. Oh yeah, I saw Bad Empanada talking about that ages ago. Hi mate, love you Chris. Thank you, just some
explicitly stated
Also, does anyone want to link the Discord?
their intent to starve Gaza. As for aid getting rushed at and people getting shot, Lonerbach speaks as if the rushing of aid is inevitably expected to result in the mass shooting of starving people, as the IDF did in the Flower Massacre.
I mean, I'm not sure I agree that, like, radical Judaic, I mean, you can use the term Jewish, but I'm not sure that I would actually
The problem is
agree with that to be, like, the worst kind, because any kind of colonialism is like that, and the settlers did it, and in the Americas, the settlers have done it in many places. I just want to see if there are any more videos of Lonerbox saying insane shit like that, but I'm not sure we're going to get any. Actually, you know what? Let's watch the Alex Duval famine on Democracy Now! I don't know how long it is. We'll watch one. I'll find one. like, this is what famine experts are talking about in Gaza.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. In one of the deadliest days yet for aid seekers in Gaza, Israeli forces killed at least 115 people on Sunday, including 92 who were killed while seeking aid. In the deadliest attack, at least 79 people at the Zikim crossing in North Gaza were massacred as they gathered near an aid convoy sent by the
Everything to do with... Oh, shit, yeah. I'll talk about Trump threatening Chicago, because that was quite interesting.
UN World Food Program in northern Gaza in the hopes...
I think it's just the Destiny orbit kind of thing of just saying things for clips, and I think we'll talk about that later with the Louis Theroux stuff.
...of getting flour. In a statement, the UN agency said, quote, as the convoy approached, the surrounding crowd came under fire from Israeli tanks, snipers, and other gunfire, unquote. These latest killings come as the starvation in Gaza. Welcome you both to Democracy Now! Davide Piscitelli, let's begin with you. You are coming out with this final report in the next few weeks, but you felt it was critical to get out something faster than that. Talk about why and what you found.
Yeah, thank you. What we saw yesterday, with over 90 people being killed while seeking aid, is something that we've been seeing daily since the end of May, especially with the introduction of the new Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid system, and also the dismantling of the UN system already in place, forcing civilians waiting aid at the crossing, like yesterday at the Zikim crossing in the north.
The USA will ultimately balkanize into regions surrounding... hold on. No, I don't want to put you in a timeout. I want to pin that. And yes, if you can donate to Mohsen's link, which is in the chat. The USA will ultimately balkanize into regions surrounding important cities, I theorize. The US is kept together by racism. Like, capitalism is undergirded by racism. Like, that's just what it is. That's just what the US is. So maybe one day, once the racism goes, the US is fucked. But, like, also, the historic precedent of sending the National Guard and stuff. But, yeah. Hold on, I just want to have a look at... I want to have a look at some Taylor.
In our forthcoming report, we are analyzing how the militarized aid system, the GHF, is replacing the UN system in Gaza. The GHF is where we see most of the violence right now, especially in the proximity of the GHF, and but also inside the GHF and along the path. And there is a reason for this. The GHF system has only like 4 stations. As we know, 3 are in Rafah, south of Gaza. 1 is in central, close to the Wadi Gaza. And this is only for the population that are in the south. So the population that are in the north, they are completely cut out of this system. And we are comparing 4 stations to the 400 sites of the UN model. So we have been collecting and verifying visual evidence of attacks against civilians and infrastructure, again, both in the proximity of the GHF or inside them. And we also analyze the temporal and spatial architecture of the GHF system, which is a system that is designed to be lethal. So what we saw yesterday and the day before and the past month is just the result of this new introduced militarized system. I can speak a bit more about the spatial and temporal architecture of the system if you like.
Go ahead.
So the GHF system, as we are analyzing in 2 elements, like the spatial element. We call it a militarized system.
When the current government system eventually collapses, leading to city-states like in The Last of Us. I mean, America's not headed in a good way, but who knows if this would ever happen. It's a long way off, and predicting the future is almost impossible. I feel like America has legs left in it yet.
System, because over the past 21 months, we were analyzing satellite images, and we see how we saw a lot of destruction. As we all know, virtually all Gaza has been destroyed, but in the meantime, there is a military infrastructure that is growing inside Gaza, starting from the margin, especially over the month of April and May 2025.
Well, hold on. There was something crazy that I read in this Adam 2's chart book, actually. Yeah, have a read of this. The desire to remake the world, settlement logic, to defend yourself and erase the enemy, operational logic, and the playful vengeful restorative exercise of blunt force shape a powerful trivector. They are also extremely generic impulses. Mechanized settler colonialism could be found in the second half of the 20th century, from Palestine to the interior of Brazil, to the Chinese northeast, Beidagwan, as Francesco Russello Amon shows us in Bulldozer, Demolition and Clearance of the Post-War Landscape. Large parts of America's own cities became a new frontier of clearance and redevelopment. And this inner frontier... Sorry, I'm cold. And this inner frontier was always selective in its impact. Citing a US housing census statistic that from between 1950 and 1980, around 7.5 million dwelling units were torn down. Along with that, the rise of the American interstates meant moving 42 billion cubic yards of earth. Through this excavation, there are incredible numbers of people displaced, particularly minorities. 60% of the residents relocated by urban renewal were non-whites, and in some areas the percentage was even higher. For instance, in Atlanta, sorry, not Atalanta, the football club. Move the chat box, Chris. Okay, I will move it. I'll move it in a second. For instance, displaced by highway and urban renewal projects were black, despite making up about 1/3 of the total population. And this was in peacetime. It is when we consider the broader political context of war that the lines of continuity with Israel's campaign in Gaza became even more powerful. This is what I've elsewhere called the liberal way of war. So this is Adam Tooze talking about. It's very interesting. Yeah, I know. It's kind of shocking. I might even put a jumper on. Hold on. I am going to put a jumper on. Thing is I'll probably start sweating once I put on a jumper, but fuck it. For now, I want to put it on. I am cold, so... If you want to read this, it's chart book. Bulldozing Gaza. Thanatocene miniseries. So someone said Atlanta was also the first city with government-funded housing. You cherry-picking moron. Well, I mean, first of all, I'm reading someone else talking about this, Alison Mayer and Russello Amon, who are talking about this kind of stuff, talking about the number of people being displaced. But regardless of if there's government-funded housing, what you must see here is that the people experiencing displacement and the destruction of their housing are predominantly black, in spite of making up not that much of the population. But, you know... weird British shape smear. Shut up. Now take it off again. No, I'm keeping it on. Jumper, okay. Sorry, I gotta put on my sweater, bro.
We saw the complete destruction of Rafah and the construction of the corridor, the Morag corridor. So between the Morag corridor and the Philadelphia corridor, we start to see pop up new military stations. And a few days after, we start to see the what is today.
I kind of want to hear from Alex Duval instead, just because I want to hear about this rather than the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, because we've definitely spoken about that before.
And you're working with Forensic Architecture on their report. We have just heard that...
Do you know about redlining? I'm no expert in redlining. Doesn't it refer to like a... No, actually, what does it refer to? Okay, yeah, I do know what this is. I was thinking it might have been the thing of, what's it called? Gerrymandering. But it's not that, is it? It's the thing to do with financial institutions. Where financial services are withheld from neighborhoods that have significant numbers of racial or ethnic minorities. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all.
In the last day, 19 people, including at least one infant, have died of starvation in Gaza. Can you talk about why this is happening?
So let me say that I've been working on this field of famine, food crisis, and humanitarian action for more than 40 years. And there is no case over those 4 decades of such minutely engineered, closely monitored...
Do you know what's kind of interesting about this is that when you listen to other people write about the Zionist project, particularly the case of what's his name? When you talk about the case of Patrick Wolf, he talks about how Zionism is the most meticulously planned Zionist project ever. Colonial project ever.
Precisely designed mass starvation of a population, as is happening in Gaza today. So we have known from expert reports by the United Nations, by the...
Oh, actually, wait, sorry, this is a real off topic, but I was arguing with Tony Soprano Lover the other day because Tony Soprano Lover kept saying that I was wrong to call it washing up liquid instead of dish soap.
Independent Famine Review Committee, by many others, exactly how this situation would unfold. And in May, there were some authoritative reports that indicated two trajectories that starvation might take in Gaza. There was then a complete siege. And if that siege were to be continued, Gaza would completely run out of food within weeks, and it takes about 60 to 80 days for an adult to die of starvation. It's entirely predictable, foreseeable. A child will die much more quickly, and particularly a young child without infant formula, without clean water, without maternal care, etc. We knew this was going to happen. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, it has humanitarian in the name, but it is not anything that a humanitarian professional would ever design. There are decades of experience of how you design these operations to work in war zones. And the UN had a system, 400 feeding stations, as David mentioned, all embedded within the community so that you could use...
This is also the other just key thing. Like, when it comes to this kind of stuff, they chose to do it. They chose to do this. And the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is one of the most evil concoctions ever. US Realtor Associations still deliberately exclude non-white buyers to shape racial makeups of residential neighborhood. Redlining is still real. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. I feel like it's just a product of capitalism. You need like a population of people who are in precariousness and will go in and out of the economy when it's booming and busting. Like it's just how capitalism works, in my understanding. Like, I'm sorry, it does. Like, having poor people is a prerequisite of capitalism because you need these people to be working in, like, precarious jobs, and it's going to happen. And it's actually interesting. Apparently, I think I mentioned this the other day, but Trump firing Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve, apparently one of the things they were interested in was looking at young black men, and whether when young black men are unemployed, it's actually a real marker of the economy going downwards. And I would assume that people who have a more fundamental grasp on economics and also would just generally say, yeah, this is the product of basically having a situation in which you need a racialized population that do cheap work. Reserve army of labour. Exactly, that's the term I'm probably looking for. I call it soap set. And also, by the way, for all of you saying dish soap, don't rely on this kind of shit of going like, oh, well, it's just more sensible in America. Why would you call it football if it was way more sensible? Why wouldn't you call it football, sorry?
Who's the support?
Because it's a kicking of a ball with your foot.
Of the community or families to make sure there was minimal disruption. It wasn't enough, but it was still something. Now, what is happening with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is that not enough food is being provided. It's simply the rations are not enough. The essential food that children need is not there. The essential services like clean water, like sanitation, like shelter, like fuel for cooking, none.
And all of it is required by that. All of it is required. Like the thing of like, you need all of this stuff.
None of those are there.
Sorry, to even make the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation products, you know. I call it football just that's why. Good, it's football. It's because the ball is shaped like a foot, whereas soccer ball is spherical. Well, I think that's also something to do with... Someone said it was to hold it in your sternum, but I don't know if that's true. They said that about rugby. I don't even know if the balls are even the same shape. We could go tit for tat on this all day. Why is the back of a car called a boot in the UK? Because the boot's at the bottom? I don't know. The boot's on your foot?
And then, as this report documents, the only way in which people can get access to those centres is by putting themselves in harm's way, by risking death, by shooting, in order to get to try and get food to feed their children. So it is entirely unsurprising, exactly as was predicted. And the only surmise that the only conclusion that one can come to is that Israel is doing this deliberately. They know exactly what they are doing, and this is intended.
Alex, you've referred to the ICJ, that's the International Court of Justice, provisional order more than a year ago in March of 2024 that instructed Israel to provide a full spectrum of humanitarian relief and essential services through the UN. Even the Israeli judge voted for it on the panel. It was unanimous. What happened as a result?
So that was a very, very important decision. It was an instruction, an order by the highest court in the world court, if you like, to Israel. And it had that humanitarian provision. It also had a vote of 16-1 to say that this was a requirement if Israel were to fulfill its obligations to prevent genocide. Now, that is very important. The Genocide Convention is not a convention just for punishing genocide, it's a convention for preventing it. So by definition, you can't wait until after a genocide has happened or after a famine has happened. We shouldn't wait and then count the graves of the children who have died and then say, wasn't that?
Yeah, this is also really funny of like these people who try and use the ICJ ruling to be like, technically they didn't rule there was a genocide, and it's just like, bro, you are using it for this specific reason. You are literally just using it for this reason to like justify when they told you very clearly, God, you are all just now talking about American versus Britishisms. Look, bro, this ain't Fight Club. We're not stealing fat from lipo and rendering it so you can use a bar of soap to wash your dishes. Boots is the UK and Ireland Walgreens. Are you just talking about the shop? Remember that post-ICJ ruling, Israel rolled out policies to prevent third-party organizations. They don't give a fuck. Exactly. That's 100% the point. They were the ones who made all of these choices. Like, these are active choices undertaken by Israel. Sorry. Oh, actually, wait. There was another thing I wanted to talk about, but maybe we'll add it.
Terrible, never again. When we have an authoritative warning, we need to act. And not just Israel. All states that are signatory to the Genocide Convention. The United States, Germany, the United Kingdom, everyone is required to act to prevent genocide. And that decision, that instruction, that order by the International Court of Justice, and as you say, the Israeli former High Court, chair of the High Court, Aharon Barak, voted for it, was the most authoritative order that one can have, and it has not been acted upon. And what is happening today with this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is an utter travesty of that. And I think we can all draw the logical conclusion from this shameful failure to prevent an utterly foreseeable disaster and crime.
I got let out on bail, so that proves. So that means I'm proven innocent. Yeah, I actually agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think, you know what, anyone who's ever been on bail is actually innocent. The Tates did nothing. They were under house arrest. They weren't actually arrested. So yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both for being with us, and we'll link to your reports, your preliminary findings at democracynow.org. And also, again, Alex, your London review of books.
But that's the thing with fascism as well. I think people think that, like, basically what happened with fascism is that, like, oh, it just sort of surprised everyone. People liked fascism, and it came over years of it, you know, came over years, and it came from disaffected feelings in Europe. Also, apparently the French government has just collapsed, so sacré bleu. Oh, no, 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 no. Il n'est pas bien! Il n'est pas bien! No. No, 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 no. Fascism happened, we say. No one thinks that that is implied to call this a genocide is mental. What? What do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying. You don't seem to like me, but what are you saying, Guzzle Butt? The French government has collapsed. Same time next week. Il n'est pas bien. Oh, je ne sais pas exactement, mais ce n'est pas bien. Il n'est pas bien just means he is not good, doesn't it? So no, it's ce n'est pas bien. Let's see if there's any quick reporting on this so I can learn why the French government has collapsed. Okay, so Sky News are going to tell us all about this. I'm sure this will be some unbiased reporting because we hate the French.
By Monday evening, if events in the National Assembly go according to predictions, the French government will have been toppled again, and President Macron will be looking for his fifth Prime Minister in under 2 years. The current Prime Minister, Francois Bayrou, has proposed a highly controversial budget, which includes 44 billion euros of savings.
One of those, the most headline-grabbing.
The truth is just the French are just way less willing to accept the destruction of their institutions as quickly as the British people have, you know. The collapse of Britain's railways. We just sold our railways off to like European nations who now subsidise their own railways with it. Are you a French-hating Brit, Chris? Have you ever been there? Of course I've been to France. I've been to Toulouse. I've been to other parts of France. But no, I've been to France a lot of times. I've been to Normandy. I've been to Perpignan. But I like French. I liked France, but I mean they're pretty fucking racist.
Is scrapping 2 of France's annual public holidays. As you'd expect, that hasn't gone down.
The French are upset about losing their public holidays.
Well, there is a lot of opposition to these policies.
The left and far right, unsurprisingly,
Toulouse
agree on little.
Toulouse.
But on Monday, they're expected to join forces and vote against the Prime Minister.
Francois Bayrou proposes a budget that once again penalises the most vulnerable, working class families, ordinary workers.
Like in the UK, this is just like, we love this kind of stuff. Like everyone in the UK is just like, let's keep doing this more and then blaming immigrants for it.
What we need
The Muslims did it!
today is to rebalance the state's finances, to go looking for wealth where it actually is.
No, I just mean France is not very far from the UK. France is very easy to visit. You live in America, like, leaving the country is not so easy and it's much more expensive. Whereas, like, in the UK, you can go to France for basically no money. And I know that that isn't plausible for everyone. And I know some people never go on holidays their entire life and never visit other places. But in the UK, like, visiting, like, France is quite a lot easier than visiting other places.
Chercher des recettes là où l'argent se trouve.
Fascism looks like power that enforces all your bigotry, so it's attractive to a lot of people. As is bigoted toward them, and their bigotry is now reinforced. But they don't realise that someone else is bigoted toward them, and now their bigotry is forced. I mean, it's also just a really comfortable feeling, like having some kind of other to hate. But like, fascism is also like when people are like, "Oh, fascist gets thrown around." Also, thank you for the very kind donation, Sarah. But like, when it comes to like talking about fascism, it's really hard because like fascism is so ill-defined, whereas like when you look at like the comparison of Stalinism, people were killed for having like slightly differing views of what communism meant and all of these things. The Muslims always do it though. Okay, right. Thanks for that, Guzzlebutt. Thanks for your useful comment. I feel like that's earned you a hide for just blaming Muslims for everything in our country. So, cheers for that one. The Muslims always be doing it. They always be doing crazy stuff like building those damn mosques. Those damn Muslims. Liberals speak of a future controversies dwell on perils of rapid change. Fascists always nationalists who promise national rebirth, but not all are fascists, and many promise some kind of... What has distinguished fascists historically, and also, by the way, this is just from quick typing, we'll fix them, has been their glorification of violent struggle and martial valour. They have promoted strict gender, national and racial hierarchies, with races in particular assumed to be locked in permanent and deadly conflict. Today's far right is undoubtedly in the business of re-establishing traditional gender roles and hierarchies, and it derives much of its energy from relentless politics of exclusion. I mean, that's also just right-wing politics more generally. Like, this is not the best definition of fascism, like, at all. But yeah, Ghazi might be a bit slosh. They're not making much sense. I mean, yeah, Muslims stole credit for 9/11 from George Bush. Yes. Bush, they took it away from us. But like, this is actually the thing that I've been thinking about with the politics do not necessarily go hand in hand with the glorification of violence, and struggle as a means of providing men. It's usually men with disciplined, heroic lives. I mean, I would say that like the thing about the case of Trump is much more warlike in this presidency. Like, Trump has gone full on, like the Chicago thing the other day, embracing the apocalypse now aesthetic and all of these things. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I think we will increasingly see this kind of stuff happen. Like, we'll increasingly see it. And also, by the way, as times get harder, like, one of the key things that pushed people towards fascism in Germany was actually just hardship. Like, most Germans experience famine, like starvation as a result of the First World War and all of these things, and they just look for someone to blame for that, you know, and people in Britain are going through an increasing amount of hardships, you know.
CMO is a factory in the industrial plains of northeast France, right in the middle of Le Pen's.
Of course, and that's about right-wing politics in general. Create an other who enjoys at your expense and you'll have the most fun. Because how right-wing enjoyment operates, look at any right-wing movement, the anti-trans movement, the anti-Palestine, the Palestine movement is a really good example of this, because it seems hard to find this enjoyment, but the Zionist imagination of Palestinian enjoyment is so, like, interesting in the sense of even the way that Palestinians fight to the Zionist project, even the way that the Palestinians are ostensibly fighting when it comes to the Zionist project is they are enjoying at the Zionist expense. The Zionist labor, they literally are giving money. They are fighting differently to the Zionists do. The Zionists, they give them fucking aid. They fight differently. They labor themselves. They punish themselves. Whilst the Palestinians, those evil damn Palestinians, they hide in those hospitals. And the Zionists didn't want to blow them up, but they do blow them up because the Palestinians made them do it. And it's always this thing of finding an other, a figure who you believe enjoys at your expense, and punishing them is where the root of right-wing enjoyment lies.
Far right.
And that's the same. Look at the rich say, look at these Muslims coming over here, getting everything you want. You can't get it because we're giving it to refugees. Exactly. This is what they're talking about. The predominantly Muslim immigrant comes over. They have fun at your expense. They don't even want to participate in the same laws and the same society as you. They transcend it. They're having so much enjoyment. But yeah, it's like, it's how it works.
Right heartland. Like many French, its owner, Nicolas Gaudin, is torn. He wants and needs some economic certainty. Without it, his company could go bust.
The mechanics! No! Mechanics, ce n'est pas bien!
It's possible that I must shut down the company in the 6 months because I have no money to continue.
For the small work.
That's actually sad. I'm only making a silly joke there because he's French. Apologies.
Of course, on the factory floor, it's more straightforward. They feel long abandoned.
But like, also, yeah, take the trans person. Oh, this trans person. They're having fun at our expense. They don't even abide by like the laws of like not doing sex crimes and all of these things. They're literally different.
And by the traditional political classes.
The whole political system needs redoing from scratch anyway. We don't feel represented. When it comes to purchasing power or work, we feel completely abandoned.
And that is why National Rally, Marine Le Pen's party, is climbing in the polls and wants new elections now.
Bayreuth's only objective is to carry on with the policies that Macron has been putting in place for the last 8 years. And we're here to stop him, to punish him, and to prevent him doing further damage to the country.
France has experienced heavy civil unrest in recent years in opposition to political and economic reforms. Another day of
But yeah, I mean, I mean, like, it's not surprising. Like, French are just more willing to protest and do these kind of things. FYI, I tuned in to tell you I'm muted. Duh, Ryder, this is it. I'm done. I'm so upset. I have Muslim sayings. They just keep to themselves, but they are always respectful. The amount of people brainwashed to hate Muslims. It's just an other that's different. Like, you can literally read about what they used to say about Jews at the turn of the century. At the turn of the century, like the start of the 20th century, they used to say, "Oh, Jewish people don't integrate. They live weird lives. They're different. They date other people. They date differently. They have different sexual practices. Everything they do is just different to you, and it is just finding someone who is an other and bolstering the in group, and it's just so ridiculous." Not so ridiculous. It's just how it is, unfortunately. Yeah, they hate Muslims because their mosques are just too pretty. Unfortunately, I think that is the case. I really need to pee again, so I might have to go do that. In fact, I am just going to do that because otherwise I'm going to be sit here bursting. So I'm just quickly going to go pee. Maybe I'll put some music on actually again. Actually, Red Sun in the Sky was fucking copyrighted, and so they'll take away. So maybe I can't put on music. I don't know. Oh no, I can. Hold on, I'll just put on some music whilst I go pee.
أنا للقدسي من البلدة القديمة، أنا من شوارع فلسطين الحبيبة، أنا للقدسي من البلدة القديمة، أنا من شوارع فلسطين الحبيبة، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي بالبلدة القديمة، أنا من شوارع فلسطين الحبيبة، أنا من القدسي بالبلدة القديمة، أنا من شوارع فلسطين الحبيبة، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي. الشوارع في المزارع في المصانع في الطرقات، في الشوارع في المزارع في المصانع في الطرقات، سأبقى أناضل 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 لتحرير الأرض والإنسان، سأبقى أناضل 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 لتحرير الأرض والإنسان. أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي، أنا من القدسي.
This time. I was muted that time. I was muted that time. Yes. I know, I was muted. I fucked up. This is the problem. Anam al-Quds. Al-Quds means Jerusalem, and it means I'm from Jerusalem. Anam must mean I am from.
Have been arrested.
So let's move on to the next story, which is at the protest I was at, not actually the one I was technically at because it's organised by Defend Our Juries. There were mass arrests. I believe it's around 890 people who were arrested. That's by Riyad Awad. It's from his album Intifada 1987. Very good song. But yeah, I'd highly recommend checking that out if you haven't. But yeah, let's move on to this one. Not to sound like Marx, but class solidarity amongst the wealthiest is strong. Well, they sow the seeds of fascism amongst all of those poor, so we eat ourselves for their pleasure. It's also to just, I think, thank you very much, Michelle. I think it's also very much in the sense of it's like, it helps maintain their position by having people focused on that rather than class solidarity, as you're correct. It's like, it's always going to work. And people, it's kind of like this Angela Rayner thing that just happened in the UK. Like, her being a corrupt fucker, I don't care. Like, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. And don't get me to think that, like, oh, I don't think that matters or it's not bad. But what I feel most strongly about that is they're all corrupt. They are all the same. They are all corrupt. And her minor corruption is no worse than all these people who are fucking war criminal lovers. And it's just like, yeah, it's just fundamentally ridiculous because, yeah. Irish rebel songs. I don't know if I'm allowed to play Irish rebel songs, but yeah, like keeping people focused on this rather than capitalism it's also really pleasing to people. Al Quds. When it comes to this kind of stuff, sorry, it's so much easier to blame others rather than to re-examine that the entire system around you might be failing and may just not work as it's meant to, Like, I think that's kind of like the thing. It is so much easier to just blame others for your problems. But yeah, let's do that Palestine action stuff.
Over 1,600 people have been arrested since this Labour government prescribed a non-violent direct action group for the first time in British history. This includes elderly people, disabled people, priests, NHS workers and the children of Holocaust survivors. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has condemned this prescription as disproportionate, unnecessary and warning it risks creating a further chilling effect. So will the Minister finally admit that his government got it wrong, that they have threatened and undermined our free speech and right to protest, and that they will review and immediately lift this ban?
In terms of the other points that she seeks to raise, the Honourable Lady has an absolute right, as everybody does, to protest in a lawful way. There is nothing that this government has done to prevent her or anybody else from doing that. What this government has done is ensure that we are best placed to protect the public. I'm sorry that she doesn't agree that is her absolute right, but I maintain the support for freedom of speech. It is a cornerstone of our democracy, and this government will always enable people to.
This guy looks weird, so that's my main commentary on this guy. That's my main commentary. Thank you for coming, Detective Pleasant. But that's my main comment on this guy. But like, the thing about the thing about all of this is Palestine Action, as I've said over and over again, Palestine Action was specifically prescribed because their actions actually affected the Israeli war machine. I mean, look what Palestine Action are doing today in Germany now. Like, I mean, you can just see what they're doing. It's literally just, like, doing stuff like smashing up monitors, like, this is not terrorism in the sense of how, it's not like these people are terrorized, that this is being done with the specific goal of, like, preventing people, just targeting people on the basis of, sorry. It is not being done to harm people. It is being done to literally prevent the mass harming of people. Christopher Potter V, you're awesome for standing up to Zionism. Thank you very much, Coffee Lover. Thank you for your support. And also, stop calling me Harry Potter. Stop it. Stop it now. But let's see what Corbyn had to say on it as well.
And they're people of courage, and they are appalled. They're people of principle, and they're people of courage, and they are appalled that civil disobedience should become an act of terrorism. And I was just a few minutes ago looking at a speech, an excellent speech, made by Shabana Mahmood in 2014 of supporting people who opposed the then bombing of Gaza. So I think we need to think about the legislation that's being passed. Protest should be allowed in our country. And indeed, when I, for example, challenged Jack Straw on this in the Terrorism Act 2000, I said, will this criminalise civil protest? He said, no, never.
It's interesting you cite a speech, which I haven't read, obviously, but Shabana Mahmood speaking up against, in the interest of protests against the situation in Gaza, because there's a difference, of course, towards doing that and supporting a proscribed terrorist organisation. John Healey, the Defence Secretary, said yesterday to Trevor Phillips, I would say to those people, voice your concerns, protests on the streets, challenge us as a government to do what we can to relieve the suffering in Gaza, but that does not need to be linked with support for Palestine action.
The reason, but as I say, like, no. The reason that this is being criminalised is solely because it threatens the Israeli war machine. That is literally it. It is because it stops Israel being able to kill people and actually challenges what the Israeli government is doing and how it behaves and all of these things. And so the reason that people are arrested because of this is literally because of the fact of what the actual consequence was for the British government.
It's a fair point, isn't it?
Not really, because Palestine action have been prescribed by the government, and I personally oppose that legislation.
Well, the more people they arrest for supporting Palestine action, the more people will turn up for the next demonstration. You know what? This isn't actually the logic of Palestine action. Palestine action are in a similar vein to Just Stop Oil. I think that they were global as well. And another one called Youth Demand. What their logic is that if they get enough people arrested, if they manage to get enough people arrested, they'll flood the British courts and they'll basically paralyse the British justice system and prove how ridiculous and stupid all of this is. So what they're actually hoping for, I understand what you're saying and I'm not denying that, but I think that the whole point is that they're doing this to literally say, if enough of us get arrested, you are fucked. And you're right, they'll keep on growing.
Because I do think in a free democratic society, there should be a right to protest. When they went onto the base at Brize Norton, they knew what they were doing. They knew that they would be charged with criminal damage. They knew they'd be charged with criminal trespass. They took that.
You can call Netanyahu Voldemort, but I think he's worse, unfortunately.
Risk. They knew that, but they did it out of principle. They were not involved in bombing anybody. They weren't involved in killing anybody. They weren't involved in threatening anybody's safety. And instead, they've now become a terrorist organisation and threatened with very long terms of imprisonment. I understand their case is not going to get to court until January 27.
Unbelievable. And like the experience of people who just dared to challenge the Israeli killing machine, and the fact that you're now arrested for showing solidarity with people who challenge the Israeli killing machine shows you just the ridiculousness of it. And let's look at some other stuff.
Have now been arrested on terror offences, facing up to 14 years imprisonment for no more than peacefully holding a placard. Most are elderly, many are healthcare workers, priests and ordinary working people, all prepared to risk severe punishment for doing what our government has failed to do. The prescription of Palestine action is an authoritarian attack on the right.
It's 100% authoritarian, but mark my words, we are so cozied up to the fucking authoritarians. We are so cozied up to the authoritarians. This is where we're headed, bro. It will be full on that you are not allowed to criticise Israel at some point, and you are not allowed to criticise the government, and that social media posts will get you sent to prison. And I'm not talking about being racist on social media, inciting violence. That should result in trouble. That is not free speech, inciting violence, but that is where they're headed. But yeah, you're right, like in the US you can support Al-Qassam, and it's so difficult in the sense of like how the UK polices this stuff and what it even means. It's so fucking arbitrary.
It's absurd, it's unworkable and unsustainable. So will the Minister and the new Home Secretary consider the government's position?
This government, this Home Secretary, will do everything that is necessary and proportionate to keep the public safe.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Yeah, Tony Soprano lover. This is what happens when you're not watching the stream. We've already spoken about it, and I don't know what is going on. So that's just someone who's actually against the ban. I just want to see if we can watch some more stuff on it. Oh, actually, wait. Sorry, there was one thing I wanted to show first. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, Grok. She has to, they're having, like, this is how stupid and fucking arbitrary this is. They're having to go, like, looking whether people wear plasticine action t-shirts. It's just an embarrassment. It is a fucking embarrassment all over because some people actually protested a bit hard and stopped Israel's genocide. Actually a really funny... So this is a tactic of... that was, like, first, put forward... by fucking Just Stop Oil and stuff. Actually, I don't know. It's probably an older tactic. But read this. One of Britain's most senior police officers has launched an angry tirade against Extinction Rebellion. That was the other group whose name I was looking for. Protesters going all floppy when they get arrested. Sir Stephen House, the Deputy Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, said the tactic of going limp was a flipping nuisance as it required extra officers to drag protesters away. By the way, such a funny Britishism. It's a flipping nuisance! House told a London Assembly Police and Crime Committee hearing, we have asked them to stop being floppy. And that might seem like a silly thing to say, but when we arrest them... plasticine action's not a thing. It's a mockery of the Palestine action stuff. But when we arrest them and pick them up, they go all floppy, which is why you see 4 or 5 officers carrying them away. It's a complete waste of officers' time and a complete pain in the neck. House also expressed annoyance at how the tactic made the police look heavy-handed. The problem with them going floppy and 4 officers carrying them away is that it looks to the general public like the police are overreacting here. We're not making them go floppy. They're sort of just being a nuisance. Oh, motherfucker. Fuck. I'm sure that's fine. I didn't show too much. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh. Jesus Christ. Maybe I'm gonna get banned. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I mean, oh, fuck. Hold on, let me just check what happened. But yeah, I mean, what a ridiculous story. Sorry, it's just the way she's just shouting. And by the way, they were like, oh, we're being subjected to abuse and stuff. Oh, just Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, shame on them indeed. I mean, there's no justification for any of this. It's utterly and completely ridiculous. Hold on, I am just checking quickly. To their kids, the day they arrested people. What did you do, Daddy? I arrested 4 pensioners with my gang. Hell yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I was with the gang arresting pensioners. Let me just check. Oh my god, that was so lucky that I missed, like, the bottom of that photo. Thing is, like, Defend Our Juries, who organised the Palestine action related stuff, were a bit annoyed because apparently people from the main march went over and, like, kind of got into more of like a sort of conflict style situation with the police. But at the same time, you know, what is there really to say? Like, what is there really to say? Like, this is just utterly ridiculous. They can quit then. Oh, 100%. That's the solution. Sorry, someone made a TikTok that apparently I should watch. We'll get back to this in a second. No, I'm not wearing trousers. I'm wearing shorts. I wear shorts because they make me look like a little boy.
Mein Gott, Leute, meine Mama hat mir einfach erlaubt, dass ich Kohle trinken darf. Wie cool ist das? Jetzt zocke ich Fortnite und trinke ich Cola. Yippee! That is a good. Whoever made that, shout out. Now, Silent Side makes good TikToks too. But then I think it is just like, you know, the things that Israel is doing are just unbelievable. Like what it is actually doing. You know, it's just obscene, the stuff that they are doing. And the people who are getting arrested are just like people who are just old, who just care about Palestine.
What's being done,
This is also, by the way, the really fucking... Sorry, there's also just like a funny element to this, and this is more general than what he's saying. What is so comical... not sure if you went to have a look at, but Parliament Square was interesting. No, I pulled out before Parliament Square just because it was like I was doing stuff and seeing people and I just wanted to go on the march, really. But I didn't actually see the Palestine Action stuff. But, yeah, I mean, like, I think that someone put it this way. This protest has a lot of impact, and I think that I really do agree with that, and I think that what they are doing is you know, I think that people are just undertaking a civil liberty to call out a ridiculous law. Oh, and sorry, the funny point I was going to make is that, like, whilst they're like, the evil anti-Semites, these evil Muslim men are taking over the streets and they are chanting Allahu Akbar at the poor Muslims, it's not safe for Jewish people. Palestine Solidarity Campaign is just... It is mostly organised by older people in the UK. These will be the people at fucking protests every week. But if you see me at a protest, feel free to say hi, by the way. You're more than welcome to. You do get a criminal record, which is, as I've well, I guess I've never explained it, but part of the thing is with, like, going to Canada and stuff, it would be kind of probably impossible for me if I'm to get a criminal record. The law that's ridiculous is they prescribe... The thing that has changed, undeniably, is that people... Oh, shit, yeah, I do remember you. The only thing I was gonna say is, well, I could not hear you, because that was so ridiculous as well, the counter-protesters. The fact of how loud their music was, I don't know how you suffered through that. Stupid! Like... And also, by the way, a very nice lady gave us earplugs, but usually it's just awful. We've been complaining to the police about this because if you don't know about this, by the way, in the UK, they let these like 20 fucking... The Zionist counter-protest was unbelievable. It was so small. And they let them blast music to the point where it is genuinely like deafening. And wait, I have to show this. I mean, you're probably in this photo, actually. In fact, I probably could maybe pick you out. Were you like there? I don't remember. Either way, this protest, look how many people there are. There are literally more police officers. There are more police officers than there are counter-protesters. So they can go and wave an IOF flag and play like music to mock the fact that they're doing genocide. Like, it's just insane. It's just insane. Like, that this goes on every week and they're like telling you, we need to be arresting people for this kind of stuff. Yes. Oh, we need to arrest people all the time for this kind of stuff. Palestine Action is so evil and bad. Oh, yes. Here's another photo. Yeah, I think this is your house. Okay. It's a grainy-ass image. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But sorry, I apologise. Sorry for laughing as well. Let's have a look at this. Let's listen to someone whine about this now.
I want to ask you about the government cracking down on an organisation they've just prescribed as a terrorist-listed organisation. They've arrested 450 people in the UK just the other day for supporting Palestine Action, which, as I said, the government has deemed to be a terrorist organisation. This has been described as one of the biggest acts of civil disobedience in recent years. As I said, 450 people arrested in one hit.
No, absolutely. There's only something like 500 police cells in London at any one time that are occupied. So this is a
Oh, doesn't look like he's going to whine about it.
Huge sort of police operation. I think two things can be true at the same time. Palestine Action are a disgraceful organisation.
No, he is!
People know about them targeting RAF bases and causing millions of pounds of damage. That's bad enough. They also had their activists targeting Jewish businesses in North London over 10
Jewish businesses.
In fact, completely bogus connections to Israeli arms manufacturers. So these people are really not to be celebrated. I think the problem is by prescribing them, it also means that anyone who even just expresses support for them just holds up one of these placards you see them holding up saying, I oppose genocide, I support Palestine Action, means they are liable for arrest. And it's created, first of all, a tremendous headache for the police, but it's also handed kind of martyr status to some of the worst people imaginable. And I think...
The worst people imaginable. I feel like someone who's like you is one of the worst people imaginable, talking shit like this. Just Jesus Christ. I'm just going to have a look if... I'm going to see Middle East Eyes watching Ava from Middle East.
We're not afraid. We're steadfast. We're steadfast in our love for the Palestinian people.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Yvette Cooper,
prescribed the group Palestine Action under UK terrorism laws 2 months ago.
Now, in a written statement from the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, to the House, she has made it clear that she has decided to prescribe Palestine Action under Section 3 of the Terrorism Act 2000.
Here today, way over 1,000 people are estimated to be here ready to risk arrest in what campaigners are calling the biggest act of defiance against the ban on Palestine Action. Now, police have said they are ready to risk anyone they believe to be breaking these terrorism laws. And we have seen so far a number of smaller scale protests resulting in hundreds of arrests, making today the biggest test for UK policing yet. And you're afraid to face arrest?
We're not afraid because we know that we're doing the right thing. We know.
Sure, I'll replace
that it is the genocidaires, the politicians, and the media establishment class that enables them who are in the wrong, and whom history and indeed the law in due course will come to judge for their facilitation of this heinous crime. So we're not afraid.
Well, this is actually the first political mistake made by this is the first political mistake made by Keir Starmer when it comes to Palestine in terms of criminalising the stuff. Because what they should have done is continued with their similar policy of being like, oh no. Basically, what they've done is... what they've done previously is they've taken like a less heavy-handed approach, which has had the effect of not leading to major protests. So when it came to the case of campus protests in the UK university, in the UK, we didn't see like police crackdowns on them. And the reason we didn't see that is because they would have increased the level of protest at them. That's why that guy actually has something correct in what he's saying. There's a kernel of truth in what he's saying. By virtue of prescribing Palestine Action in this way, you are seeing way greater support because it's constantly in the media. It now constantly has to be talked about in British politics. So, you know.
We're steadfast. We're steadfast in our love for the Palestinian people.
Look, he's gone floppy. That person had gone floppy. The police are suffering in this country because of the floppy people.
With the 2,000 people here today, many of the people being arrested are elderly, once again. There doesn't seem to be any particular method when it comes to arresting people. The majority are just being picked randomly. Many people are saying that they're ready, they're willing to risk arrest, and will wait until the police have arrested every single last person.
They're shutting us down using draconian laws that were never fit for purpose. They are misleading Parliament, they're misleading the public. They're saying that sledgehammers and paint are...
There is terrible floppiness happening in the UK and no one is talking about it.
...are acts of terrorism, whereas they are criminal damage, but criminal damage has always been part and parcel of bringing much needed change to society.
As you can see, hundreds of arrests have been made already, but hundreds remain here, saying they will not leave until police have attempted to arrest every single person holding a sign saying, "I support Palestine Action." And so it seems, here, Parliament Square has become the front line for confrontation between protesters and the state.
Exactly, Dr. Paco, but the reason it's such a mistake is, this has only increased desire and support for this kind of action, and increasingly is becoming a problem for the UK government. But yeah, I mean, let's have a look. Channel 4 have got a video about it as well. Oh, 100%. It's no worse in any way at all.
Lawbreakers.
The boy's poor supple bones. Floppiness has befallen him.
Offering themselves up in Parliament Square today to a heavy police presence, by very obviously showing support for an organisation the government has banned for engaging in terrorist activities.
It's a very similar scene to that of a month ago when 531 people were arrested. And it's exactly the same drill. The protesters write on their placards the words Palestine Action, and then the police swoop in and pick them off and arrest them one by one.
Good man.
Apparently I'm a terrorist. It's news to me grandkids anyway. We're going over there.
Like last time, many of those being marched into the police vans were older people. They did so with cheers of support from the crowds, while the police were jeered.
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Despite the insistence of organisers that this should be a peaceful and sometimes silent protest as before, today's atmosphere was more tense, almost as if the police and the protesters knew the script this time round.
This is actually a bit unfair because the people who were being arrested were interested in, like, the peace, were doing this peacefully, and they actually said they wanted more arrests to happen at a faster speed, but people got in the way and tried to prevent them. So there's a difference, but I guess then you're talking more generally about the protest.
Are you prepared to be arrested today?
Yes, I am. The government is complicit in the atrocity.
I think US cops figured out that if they just let people protest a few times, people will move on over here. Our media cycle can't sustain even something like that. Now, if we had the floppy people are terrifying.
That are going on out there, and Palestine Action aren't terrorists, they're people of conscience.
Palestine Action was proscribed as a terror organisation in July after the group claimed responsibility when 2 Voyager planes were damaged at RAF Bryce Norton in June. The Home Office is likely to appeal against a High Court ruling allowing Palestine Action's co-founder Huda Amori to go ahead with a legal challenge over the group's ban.
Everybody in Parliament Square.
No, it's just there's a lot of older people. This guy, Jonathan Porritt, I think used to be like an advisor to King Charles.
Today is campaigning to get the ban on Palestine Action lifted. And that is because we do not believe, that Palestine Action meets the criteria for being designated as a terrorist organisation.
The legal challenge over the ban will now be on the desk of the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. A decade ago, while a backbencher, she took part herself.
Oh yeah, listen to this. This is insane. This is the new Home Secretary who supports now prescribing Palestine Action.
In a protest at a branch of Sainsbury's over the sale of Israeli products.
We managed to close down that store for 5 hours. On a Saturday. This is how we can make a difference.
Back to today, and after multiple arrests, the atmosphere has become more tense with reports of violent clashes.
Out of the way! Out of the way!
She's floppy. She's floppy.
Police drew batons and territorial support.
King Charles, the guy who pulled the sword out the dart.
Group officers were called in. The Metropolitan Police said their officers had been prevented from carrying out their duties.
Bro, people are always on about fucking immigrants stealing money. How much money is wasted every fucking weekend to arrest all these people? It is such a waste of fucking money. This is so stupid. Just so Israel can do genocide. You police this shit and no one wants it.
And there have been physical and verbal abuse towards them, with a number of arrests being made for assault.
Let's clear some room.
Special areas have been set up around Westminster where those arrested will be taken for processing. The strain on police time and on the court system will be immense, which is, of course, what the protesters want.
Now, the Israeli military has told Palestinians to leave Gaza City and move south to a humanitarian zone it says it's establishing in Al-Mawasi. It's been by asking her what the situation is like.
Okay, this is no longer about Palestine Action. But yeah, I mean, it's just so ridiculous, man, that this is what's going on. Something you missed from the counter demo was the bloke on the mic genuinely mistaking a plasticine action, real one, and asking the police to... Yeah, I mean, quality stuff. Honestly, the arrests are bringing even more attention. Oh, 100%. Someone put it like this. These small protests that have nowhere near the size and scale of the PSC marches are having such a big effect. Like, they are genuinely causing such big problems for the UK government in terms of the ridiculousness, the arbitrariness, and before they wouldn't report on these massive protests. And now Now they're forced to report on them. Because what can they do? Just ignore it? Is that it? It's fucked. It's fucked for them. It's fucked. It's such a stupid situation. Let's just watch this final interview, actually.
Come for my friends, and I do not stand up. Then when they come for me, who will stand up for me? And that's one reason to be here. The other reason is that I thought, yes, I want to go on that protest. And my first response to myself was fear. And I thought, what have they done? I have been going on peaceful protests for 60 years, and that is the first time I have felt afraid. And then I stopped being afraid and got bloody furious. And I just knew that it was necessary. It's not about do you want to, it's about I need to.
Yeah, I mean, you just see, it's a mixture of people, but who will flop for me? Indeed, yeah. First they came for the floppies. Right, now let's cover... This Louis Theroux story won't actually take that long. It's just I put it in the title because I thought people might be interested in it. I could have put in Everyone Hates Ethan Klein, but I don't want to talk about Ethan constantly. I've been thinking about doing one final video, but I don't know if I will. What was I going to search?
HS, the other thing that shocked me a bit was some of the anti-Semitic...
Can I ask you a question?
HS, the other thing that shocked me a bit was...
So he's hanging out with this guy who's like an absolute moron, HS Ticky Tocky.
Some of the anti-Semitic things that you were saying. Like...
He's Jewish.
Yeah.
Am I anti-Semitic?
You tell me.
You tell me. He's Jewish.
What about the thing about when you were chanting, fuck the Jews?
By the way, I went on Kick earlier. That was actually one of the things that spurred me to maybe talk about fucking Ethan Klein again. When it comes to like Ethan Klein, the fucking Kick, I just saw it. It was just like this emote, this fucking really anti-Semitic emote. Like TikTok has a problem with anti-Semitism. In fact, all of those people saying anti-Semitic shit today, I reported them. And TikTok says no violation found in what they said. I reported the guy who came up and said anti-Semitic stuff. No report problem found. No violation, no violation. I have never ever got a violation on TikTok for anything that anyone has done. I just have to block them and that's it. But the thing is that when you look at this, right? When you look at this kind of stuff, like Kick is just out of control.
Look, this is the stuff that just doesn't need to be done. If you want to go there, the Jewish thing that I said to you before about you interviewing and going to Palestine and doing that, you weren't allowed to put that on Netflix, but this is going on Netflix.
First of all, that's not exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. You got told you couldn't put that show on Netflix because it was anti-Semitic, and you bowed down to them. You bowed down to your masters. Whereas me, I'll say what I want.
He's just anti-Semitic, by the way, talking about bowing down to masters and stuff. Like, it's insane. Like, this guy was being insanely anti-Semitic.
You said a strange thing. You should look at him. I want to look at... You said Louis had Jew.
I just want to see if I can find the other one. Louis Theroux. I want to see if I can find this clip.
Can I ask you a question?
HS, the other thing...
HS Tiki Talkie, by the way, is definitely anti-Semitic, but I don't really care whether HS Tiki Talkie is anti-Semitic.
Can I ask you a question?
Here you go.
We don't know, do we?
Are Israel committing genocide? You're a puppet. You can't say what you want to say.
You don't want to think about what...
You're a puppet. That's enough said. You're a puppet. You're a puppet the same way you are for Savile. Puppet, mate. Can I ask you a question?
Like, so he spent this time, but I thought I'd watch the fucking Kick stream, which, by the way, watching a fucking this amount of HS Tiki Talkie on Kick, it's not good for the mental health. I'll just get it up. God, he has 7,000 viewers. How do I look at someone's like a profile? Oh fuck! Wait, can I not look at it whilst he's live? Wait, this platform's insane. How do I look at his channel? Okay, here we go. Oh god, just insane stuff. Ugh.
Vibes when interviewing him.
Hold on, I want to make sure that this is full screen so I don't get in trouble for showing this or anything.
Yes. Well, I always question people when they say that because it's easy in hindsight. We're like, oh, I always knew. Like, well, if you always knew, why didn't you say something? It was well known that there were rumours about him, but what I didn't know was that how true they were.
They're talking about Jimmy Savile here, who's like a very famous pedophile that Louis Theroux interviewed and spoke to before it was announced.
Because if I could name 10 people who right now, celebrities, the internet is saying they're a paedophile. I could name 10
but over
right now,
over decades.
Yeah, over decades. Correct.
All right.
Over decades, yes.
Who?
People who are considered national treasures, who people say like, actually, it's all going to come out when they die. But is it true?
But it should come out when they're alive.
Can I ask you a question?
But my question is it true?
Can I ask you a question?
We don't know, do we?
Are Israel committing genocide? You're a puppet. You can't say what you want to say.
You don't want to think about what...
You're a puppet. That's enough said. You're a puppet.
My opinion...
You're a puppet the same way you are for Savile. Puppet, mate.
Are you live streaming?
No, we're filming for a YouTube video.
I think you're live streaming.
The thing is with me, I don't have to edit. I don't do this bullshit.
It's all like it's all quite weird as well because like they're just like live streaming him like and not doing it. But Louis Theroux gives his opinion. Listen to this.
Editing that you guys do where this wouldn't be in the show because I'm real. I'm raw. I'm not a puppet. I'm not controlled. No one's my daddy. Savile's your daddy. The Jew's your daddy. You know it.
Like, this guy is just straight up anti-Semitic. Like, that's what... like, come on. That's just anti-Semitic. Like, the Jimmy Savile stuff. Jimmy Savile has nothing to do with Jewish people, by the way. But the mention of that you're a puppet.
I don't give a fuck. Enough said. Enough
when are we
said.
going to talk about karate?
I told you it'd be like this, bro. I literally told you, bro. So I want to go get my eggs, mate.
The UN is building a case, and Israel's committing genocide, and there is, I think, a prima facie finding that there is strong grounds for there being a genocide. I think there's no question, in my opinion, that there's ethnic cleansing.
Does anybody want some water?
Most experts in genocide say that there's a genocide.
Would you like a water? I promise you, there's nothing in it.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't just say, I don't know why he didn't just say, like, why he wouldn't just say there's a genocide. You think I should copy this guy's aesthetic/manner? Maybe I will, and I'll just start becoming really anti-Semitic. Maybe that's my new thing. I'll just move to Kick and just do it, you know? Seems that it pays quite well on Kick, so maybe that's a good idea. Seems like a great idea to just abandon everything I believe, to just shave my head and just become a racist. So, if most experts say them, why not say it? I know, it's interesting that he didn't say it, but I'm saying that this is very different to sitting there and him denying that there's a genocide. I don't love his response either, and I would hope that he would have said that there was a genocide. And I'm not sitting here and saying, like, that this is fantastic. But what I'm saying here is that this is different from him, like, denying that there's a genocide or anything. I believe it's a genocide. Yeah, 100%. This is all the HS Tiki-Toki content I'm doing. But I'm not sitting here and saying that, like, like, making this claim that it's, like, not a genocide is, okay. Is it a genocide? Most experts say so. Yeah, you should just say, if most experts say so, yeah.
Careful if you open it, because a couple of them have squirted. Harrison, be careful.
Can you not be streaming live?
Also, goodbye, Sarah. Goodbye, Sarah. Goodbye. But yeah, this is kind of it. Like, there was like a bit of a stink this morning, but it's kind of all been removed. And the documentary will be weird because this guy, HS Tiki-Toki, is odd. And some of the stuff he's been up to, there's an interesting article in the Times recently. He's like a really problematic influencer, not someone who I want to get, like, to be talking about, really. But, yeah, I think it's cowardice, and it's honestly disheartening because I like him. Yeah, I like Louis Theroux too, and I think it's unfortunate. And his wife seems much more unequivocally against what Israel is doing. I don't know why it's like, why he did it. That is his mum. He's with his mum. It's all a really weird situation. He's just someone who makes, like, a lot of money through gambling and stuff on Twit, on Kick. But you know what? He said he makes $1,200 an hour, so... All I'm saying is I'm expecting you guys to start donating a bit more to push us up towards that $1,200 an hour, please. But yeah, Louis Theroux with very low flop energy. Yeah, he wouldn't flop for them. But yeah, like, I mean, HS Tiki-Toki, definitely anti-Semitic. Louis Theroux could bring up him, because what he asked is, like, isn't that anti-Semitic of him just saying, like, fuck Jewish people, and his entire chat is just anti-Semitism. There's a bit where he even reads the chat, Louis Theroux, and it's just anti-Semitism. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Sorry, a German news outlet has just reported this. Israel's foreign ministry spends vast sums on propaganda to spread propaganda. 42 million has been spent on ad campaigns on platforms like YouTube and X since mid-June 2025. Bro. These efforts are part of Israel's broader public diplomacy strategy known as Hasbara, which roughly translates to explaining and is used to describe efforts to promote Israel's image abroad. The same day, in large part, the Israeli government, 2 videos were promoted by paid ads, make full show markets full of food and restaurants. They feature the art with green saying there is food in Gaza and any other claim is a lie. Payroll. Thank you. We're closing in on that $1,200. I found the money they're making. Oh no, to be honest, he makes a lot of money through like despicable means, such as like OnlyFans pimping, sharing girls like videos of girls without their consent, gambling. And also his viewers will be inflated by the platform. Like, these guys are really big streamers, but people just have never heard of them. Here's 1,200 euros. Wow, we're pushing that number. More often, that it is our system that they are undermining. Our foreign policy. I remember Edward Said writing about this as well. I know that you all were checking about this, but I remember something. Israel also used to just write. Israel used to write articles that they then pay celebrities to visit, and they weren't allowed to say anything negative. That was the main stipulation. But then they just get like an article that was pre-written for them and then published under their name, and it would basically be just be that. And also, when you say inflate the money I'm making, the only thing I want to say on that topic is definitely HS Tiki-Toki says he's like a multi-millionaire, which I don't doubt, but HS Tiki-Toki is making tons of money from this stuff. From just like illicit and dodgy fucking means. Dodgy means. Is because, like, Harrison Sullivan has shot to fame in the manosphere. If you want to read something about him. But yeah, he crashed a McLaren. He's wanted in the UK for basically doing that. He makes money from women trading and social media content, and often live streams his wins and losses while gambling. Followers are baited with pictures of Sullivan with women, some of whom he jokes about owning as a self-described pimp. This article is really grating. There's like some really horrible stuff in here. It's like sharing women. There's one where it mentions that he accidentally had the flash on whilst he was filming there. Women talking about being filmed against their consent. Him mocking a woman who gave him an STI, or maybe he gave her an STI. Even top-tier women will slut it out for a top-tier man. I'm a high-value man, that's what I'm saying. He's just trying to be Tate, like, genuinely. He's just trying to be Tate, and he can never come back to the UK. And it's weird, because his mum's around there, and all of this stuff. Yeah. But, like, this is, by the way, how you make money. When you don't care about your fans, and all you want to do is just exploit money out of them. Underpinned by, One woman later spoke of being humiliated in front of millions of people. He also told viewers that exposure was not fee, refusing to promote a woman's Instagram when she wouldn't show his viewers her breasts. After an argument broke out between women staying with him, Sullivan said, "We convinced them not to leave." In a caption on a selfie on Telegram, he demands sexual favours each morning from women. It's really, 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 really horrifying, you know. It's really, really horrible shit, but that's how he's making money, through creepy, creepy means. We need more positive male role models. I don't think I'm necessarily a perfect positive male role model, but I certainly don't hate women or feel the need to just speak negatively about them and all of this stuff. Like, it's just bravado and it's all fucking bullshit. And he's like, I'm not the same off camera. And it's like, bro, but you are doing that on camera and your audience are like fucking 12. Also, thank you, Silent Side. Thank you everyone who supported and donated and watched and viewed and liked and continues to support it. According to Google's, YouTube ads can be targeted by gender, age, region. Israel targeted viewers in Germany, Austria. Sophie, Jesus, you didn't have to donate that. Thank you so much for the incredibly kind donations and support. Wow. And thank you for giving all these people, making them members. He never laughs at my comments. It's abuse. I never laugh at your comments because you're horrible to me. But thank you, everyone. Sophie. But also, there's never, ever, ever, ever feel the need that you have to donate. Just watching, supporting my content, talking about it is all I ever ask for. That's just the nicest thing. Thank you so much. Sog the Goat. I accidentally spelled Sophie wrong, but oh well. Sog can be your new name. Sog Goldman. Yes. Soga. DW Fact Check analysed one of the videos and traced the original clips to social media that feature restaurants. Most of the video clips were posted in June. However, the presence of open restaurants does not disprove the existence of famine. I want to know about these restaurants. I saw all of you talking about them. Wow, fuck. We contacted all of the... So all of you were talking about this. All of the restaurants, all of the Love Soak, Make Soak Mod. I mean, Sophie's going to run the Clips channel, which I was actually going to email about you tonight if you're still happy to do it. I think that a Clips channel is a good idea. I think it makes sense, to be honest, at this point. I think it's really what I should be doing, and I should be clipping. Because I've missed out on so much content from just the views and stuff, and I think probably some of you would watch it. And a lot of these people boost their streams by doing that, and I think it is a good way. Because it's how, like, I wanted to, or how I would start watching Hassan, you know? Like, it's, oh, you see clips. And that's why I like the thirst traps and all of this stuff. I think that, like, all of this stuff helps to promote the content, and... but yeah. Several restaurants mentioned supply shortages. We contacted all of the restaurants and cafes featured in a video. For example, Estacana Cafe in the Rimal neighborhood of Gaza City. They confirmed frequent closures due to lack of food staples. They said commercial-sized bags of flour were being sold for the equivalent of hundreds of euros, but the prices changed depending on the date and the broader state of supply in the enclave. Menu items at the cafe included a Nutella waffle for 25 euros. Jesus. People get you something nice, disappears from existence. Coffee Lover, thank you so much. You're always so everyone is so kind, and I'm just so glad that you're all here, that you're all in the Discord, that you're all just supporting, and just, we're growing. We're working on something big. I know that this is a case of plugging away, and I think one of the things I am going to move towards is streaming much longer. Seems to work well having a main channel. I think I might set one up, because I think in part one of the things that might be affecting the YouTube video views is because you're like, I have a feeling that it might have an effect, but like the YouTube video didn't perform that well, but it's still growing. It's actually at 10.2k views now, which is nice. And I think that's a good video. People seem to like that, but yeah. Gentle reminder that any spare money you have can also be... Exactly, yes. People can donate to the link if they have the capacity and they want to. I am on live chat. New of you, but came across you in Overzealous video a long time. Appreciate your stuff. Thank you, Anza, helping me understand some of this stuff. I'm glad. I always say that this was like the whole point of what I wanted to do. Like what I wanted to do to just like, you know, to basically teach people about this stuff. They said that commercial-sized bags of flour were being sold for the equivalent of hundreds of euros. But my friend in Gaza City paid $60 for a jar of Nutella and pays over $200,000 a month for enough electricity to come off the coast. Exactly. The thing is that, and indeed, yeah, donate to Mosin if you can. My friend in Gaza City paid $60 for a jar of Nutella and pays over $2,000 a month for enough electricity to cook and wash their clothes. Yeah, I mean, this is also the thing about genocide. Like, even in the Warsaw Ghetto, there were rich Jewish people who were able to, you know, sustain themselves, who had money that, well, they couldn't sustain themselves because you get sent to a fucking death camp. But still, they had the capacity to look after themselves and their families. Talk about BA Union's video. I think it's something that's anti-imperialism and it's important topics in Marxism. I probably won't do that today, to be honest. I'll be live tomorrow, though, so I think I might go back to Wednesday off, but I'm thinking about streaming on a weekend day from now on. I don't think 2 days off is a good idea, because I think consistency is, yeah. I don't know if I could stream simultaneously on TikTok and YouTube. I don't know if that's a plausible thing to do. So maybe I will start doing that. I don't know. Maybe I will start doing that. I'm not actually sure. I'd be interested to hear about it. B has gone off the deep end. Yeah, I mean, Bad Empanada has gone off the deep end, but I think he was always off the deep end. Like, also, this is just 12 euros here. The Nutella waffle and a small dessert with nuts and chocolate was similarly period. First-hand accounts have confirmed. Riham Abu Aita, co-founder of Palestinian media literacy group Kasif, confirmed high prices during her training sessions in Gaza from April to July. We bought 1 kilo of sugar for 250 shekels. A piece of bread with 1 piece of falafel cost 30 shekels at the time, she told. At the end of July 2015, a video published by outlets including Jerusalem Post showed a vegetable stall in Gaza, prompting skepticism about a famine claim. DW fact-check Majdi, the journalist who filmed the footage, who confirmed its authenticity but emphasised these vegetables and fruits are very expensive. The majority of people in Gaza cannot... And this is also how they talk about famine! This is how they talk about famine if you listen to anyone who is an expert. If you listen to someone who is an expert who understands famine in the Gaza Strip, what they say about famine in Gaza is that when it comes to it, how it operates is that effectively it is not just everyone dying. The poorest people will be the first to die and the most disaffected. People can still get luxuries and treats, but yeah. I mean, maybe. I think that Bad Empanada can just be very abrasive and that it's not necessarily a thing. DW concludes the video are misleading. While food may be available in some areas, it is scarce or unaffordable in others. That famine, IPC Phase 5, is currently occurring in Gaza Governorate and projected to spread to Deir al-Balah and Khan Yunis by the end of September. The propaganda videos denying famine were not only spread on YouTube, on many other Israeli channels. DW contacted the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as the government press office, to ask why the ad campaigns only targeted the 6 countries mentioned above. They referred us to the Israeli embassy, the embassy staff responding by referring to a foreign ministry post on X, reiterating the claim there is no famine in Gaza. They also shared a document allegedly sent to the IPC disputing their findings. Their response did not mention the DW's question about the ad campaign. This is crazy. They, like, I know they do this. I know that Israel does this. But, like, yeah, I think Bad Empanada is playing a character in part, by the way. I think everyone plays a character in online. Gazans deserve nice things, not just survival. 100%. But it had said, but it said, what? People alive in Gaza, therefore no genocide type of shit. 100%. People alive in Gaza, so no genocide is fundamentally ridiculous. It is fundamentally just ignores the actual understanding of what genocide is. The page states the declaration was issued not only without evidence that would justify it under the IPC's own criteria, but also based on partial... appearing at the top of the Google search results for users searching IPC famine. The link leads to an Israeli government page challenging the IPC's methodology and accusing it of spreading misrepresented data. Israeli government set a number of trucks in... Bro, Falk, I think you've sent the wrong message there, because whatever the Israeli government is doing, I don't think they're molesting trucks. But I know what you're saying, but yeah, it is possible. Part of me does always have this feeling about these people who are so uncritically anti-Israel and anti-people who support Israel that I think there's merit to it. But then also some of it is like, I just think there's no point just saying like, heinous things, that there's also no point of just like... One of the things I will say is, I don't believe in this whole thing of like accommodating just pro-Israel views. No. Accommodating pro-Israel views in terms of giving credence. That's why like when I talk to someone and they're like, can we not find common ground? I'm like, fuck no, I'm not finding common ground. The only reason that I do those debates is literally because, one, it's entertainment and it grows the fucking TikTok, and more people will come over and watch me talk about serious things, will watch me talk about Palestine, we'll learn something. So, I like how you changed your name. No structural issues that have led to ass representation. Oh, I mean, unions have their problems. And also, by the way, a friend told me that they were like at their job. They were like, they wanted to, they're like very good at their job and they wanted to rise up. And the person was just like, they found out that they wanted to become a union rep because they are mistreated and they work incredibly hard and do so much, but they end up with fuck all in return. And it's kind of like, he was just basically told, you're not going to go up if you do that. And yeah, the page states the declaration was issued not only without evidence that would justify under the IPC's own, most prominently an alleged breach of the matters as a justification. This type of sponsored post can also be easily targeted to specific users looking for specific information to Google's Ad Transparency Center. Sorry, I just didn't read the Israeli garble. Also, Ali, thank you for becoming a member. Shout out. Pick the most clickbait inflammatory title / thumbnail. I will look into that to get marginalized identity. Simple as that. The union take is good enough. Good though. Yeah, I mean the trans thing. I'm no fan of. I'm no fan of at all. And I don't think most people take it just to feel marginalised. I think they take it because they don't feel that gender roles don't fit. And I think that that's a very fair thing to say. Because once again, I've literally just said, like, on the topic of identity politics, I just don't believe that people are self-identical with this identity. And I believe the more scared people are of that, that's what produces the strongest reactions. Because I don't think there's really, like, a male identity that is self-identical with this concept of, like, a big, strong man who doesn't feel weaknesses, who feels like, you know, in a sense of that is all they'll ever be, you know. How long have I even been live today? Probably ages. I've been live since 2:30, since 3:30, so that's what, like 4 hours, over 4 hours. But I'll keep on going for a little bit. While both sides have been, DW sources suggest the volume and scale of misleading content is currently greater on the pro-Israel side. I think Israel is now facing an unprecedented risk of isolation from the international community, says Tommaso Canetta, fact-checking coordinator at the European Digital Media Observatory, in an interview with DW. He sees a clear goal behind the propaganda and disinformation spread in several European languages. By the way, do you think that they're paying, like, these idiotic pro-Israel influencers to do this? Because I don't actually think the pro-Israel influencers are being paid always. I think, well, actually, you know, even that Matt Nuclear guy who has 10k followers got to meet Charlie Kirk. Like, what's happening there? Like, how's that a thing? Their general idea is to win sympathy of the Western public opinion in Europe and also in the US. For Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, more and more countries recognizing the state of Palestine is a huge diplomatic defeat. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Canetta notes that the Palestinian side is also actively spreading disinformation. However, it's clear that right now we are seeing more disinformation from the pro-Israel side of things. What disinformation are you talking about? You know? Yeah, but liberals outrage over identity rather than material harms. Maybe, but I don't know. Wouldn't say it myself, but I don't think it was meant as a general dismissal of trans identity, just of idpol leftists. Yeah, but I think that there's a certain way of handling that as well. I think that there just is. And I think that the microcosm of what he was talking about like just sort of trans, it's sort of people who are like, I'm in the military and trans, is such a tiny amount of people. Oh, I will finish this, actually. DW spoke with Oren Pasisco, a journalist from for the Seventh Eye, a well-known media blog in Israel devoted to journalism and freedom of the press. Pasisco says Israel's agenda to give the impression that there is no widespread starvation in Gaza. We are the good guys, or we are the victims, and we don't attempt to hurt any civilians in the process. He criticised the famine denial as anti-journalism, saying the fact that there is one grocery store, or 2 or 10... 2 or 10 is a weird way to phrase it. You can tell that he's not an English speaker. All according to plan. Oh, I you know what? Like, I don't care. It's fine. We can talk about it, but I kind of want to get done with streaming for this evening. But I'll carry on for a bit. Doesn't mean that 10 kilometers away from there, people aren't inside a house, unable to safely get out, and don't have food. He explained that Israel's media coverage sets the tone for international messaging. He says that as long as the hostages are still in Gaza, it's easy for Israelis to see themselves as victims. That's like the main story. Oh God, and then it's just like, oh, here we are, we gotta, this is what I mean when I say, like, worship at the temple of October the 7th. Just mention October the 7th at the bottom. Also, mad that they kept that in, because Israel's been on an attempt to discredit that. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but Israel's been trying to condemn the International Association of Genocide Scholars, you know, and by doing that, they've just got, like, random people to sign up and used fake names. No, it's like all these people who say over and over again that, oh, have you not seen the video of Hamas looting aid? And it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, Hamas looting aid is like, you want me to look at a video rather than the governments who talk about this. Rather than the international organizations who talk about this. You know? I don't know. I don't know. Right, I guess we can talk about the final thing is Jerusalem. Yerushalayim, ya al-Quds.
We're going to start this hour with that developing news out of Jerusalem. 5 people have been killed in a shooting attack there. Let's take you to the live feeds that we are getting in from the scene. This is one of them showing the emergency and security services there in the background, the buses and a bus stop. It's just gone midday. We understand this attack happened just after rush hour. 5 people killed. According to police there, 2 gunmen approached and opened fire. They were, quote, neutralized or killed. Many others were shot, injured and taken to hospital as well. And you can see here the scale of the operation and the security operation in the aftermath. Looks like even more vehicles arriving there. Our correspondent Yolande Nell is live at the scene for us. Yolande.
The boy who streams has come to die. Did you just change your name to Netanyahu, coffee lover? You did. Netanyahu is Voldemort. The only problem with your name is it just says Netanyahu is. So it could be Netanyahu is awesome. We don't know.
We can just see that trail of vehicles coming in. Just talk us through the geography. What's behind you? Give us a sense of the scene there.
Okay, so this is a very busy road junction. We're between East and West Jerusalem.
I do actually kind of want to talk about something, which I'll end the stream with.
Here. And what was at the center of the shooting attack, the bus shelter you can see just behind me, a bus over there still parked up, and there's one more bus in this direction. A short time ago, we saw bodies being taken away in body bags by the emergency services. Now, a big crowd has assembled here. This is a place right next to a bus terminal. It was very busy a couple of hours ago when this shooting took place. Israeli police have now put extra security measures around Jerusalem. We're told that they're working on the assumption that these 2 attackers came from the occupied West Bank, from close to Ramallah, and some villages close to Ramallah have been...
You know what does kind of, like, loads of people are like, oh, this is a conspiracy, so Netanyahu doesn't have to go to court today. Look, the truth is that, like, the people are, like, these things happen. Like, you shouldn't just think that everything is some, like, evil conspiracy theory.
Sealed off while they conduct their search. We've been hearing a police helicopter overhead. There are plenty of ambulances lined up here a short time ago. But people still expressing their shock. This really threw people into panic. Although the Israeli police have been on a high state of alert for the past nearly 2 years while the Gaza war has been raging on. There have been relatively...
God, the H3 podcast is going to be insufferable today. Yeah, I mean, this is actually something I kind of... I mean, because of this, I guess it's linked to this. But one of the things I have been thinking is, I don't just want to do, like, YouTube stuff related to H3. Like, I don't think there's a problem talking about it, and especially people who are... especially people who have bigger platforms and stuff, but I just worry sometimes that I'd associate myself too much with like just beefing Ethan Klein on this platform as it grows, and so part of me just doesn't want to talk about like stuff I don't care about with Ethan. Like when I was thinking about this stuff of like people being like he's a dickhead on TikTok today, I was like, yeah, he is a fucking dickhead, but I don't know if I want to talk about that. Like when he's talking about Palestine, yeah, I will talk about that. Like I thought about maybe making a video called like Ethan Klein doesn't care about anti-Semitism and just going into the kick stuff and talking about that. And actually, I think that there may be merit to that, because it's like saying, hey, this whole like, because it's much bigger than Ethan Klein. All these people who said Twitch is anti-Semitism is just a lie. But like, I don't know, like today it's just like, I don't really want to talk about that. Lonabox and Anthony Fantano may have been worth putting in the title because I actually spoke about it, but yeah.
Few attacks of this kind, especially in the Jerusalem area. But this is an area where we have previously seen attacks. Not far from here, also, I covered early in 2023 the killing of 7 people. They were shot dead outside a synagogue in a Jewish settlement not very far from here.
Yeah, this is certainly the biggest incident since that one 2 years ago, Yolande. Has anyone come forward and claimed responsibility yet? Do we have any sense of anyone, group, or behind this or motive?
At the moment, all we have is that Hamas, who have put out a statement basically praising this attack.
I'm not sure I am such a big fan of Rathbone. I've never watched this content or been a big fan, and I'm not sure I'd post the video of, like, you know, the fucking Western Wall stuff. It's not for me, and I don't know, I'm not a big Rathbone fan, to be honest. He's not someone who I've been interested in ever. Like, and I can't say I've watched much of his content, but yeah, I'm just not like someone who's interested in him.
Saying that it was carried out by 2 Palestinian resistance fighters, in its words, but it has not claimed responsibility for the attack. It said that it was a response to what has been going on in Gaza and here in Jerusalem and in the occupied West Bank.
And just give us a sense, Yolande, of the area where you are. This would have been...
I don't think anyone should talk about Ethan right now at all, personally. Right, cool not to give him airtime. It's more like... The reason I spoke about Ethan Klein, and the reason I think there's merit to it, is because, as I said when I was talking to Noah, there's this element of talking about Palestine that you need to realise, you need to keep eyes on it. This isn't, in a way, this is like a thing of, like, it's a blend of entertainment, but as well treating an issue, an issue with the substance and the respect, and caring about it, and researching it, and trying to use that as an educational opportunity, which is where I see the merit. But when it's just like talking about Ethan Klein shit his pants, it's like, yeah, bro, Ethan Klein shits his fucking pants every day. If he's talking about Palestine, yeah, I'll talk about it. But if he's not talking about Palestine, no, I'm not talking about it. But yeah, I mean, I think people I'd promote are like fucking Overzealots. I love Overzealots, great guy. I'm also gonna have some more people on. I think I'm gonna have Isabel on. Hopefully, you know Isabel, everyone's favourite British TikToker. No, actually she's not. I am your favourite British TikToker. I'm going to have Isabel on. I'm going to have a couple of other people on. There's a guy from TikTok who does like who's just started out, and I'd like to have him on. He's an interesting guy. He talks about like being Jewish and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to do some stuff like that, and I'll promote them. They are literally forming Orthodox unions. One of them shot the resistance fighters in this event. I mean, the other thing about all of this is that, like, when it comes to this kind of stuff, all of this is just a product of Israel not offering a solution. I cannot sit here and view this violence as isolated. I made the same video when that previous shooting attack she was talking about happened. I was like, years ago, actually, I think at this point. I don't even know when that was. It was a while ago. But when I spoke about it, I'm not going to sit there and be like, Palestinians are evil. Zionists use this as every opportunity. In fact, I can probably show you. I don't know if I have drafts. No, I don't have access to drafts on here. But if I could, I'd show you my draft video that I have planned that I'm probably going to upload after this on on TikTok, because I'm trying to do more TikTok stuff, but it's hard, you know. I like focusing on this, and I need to work out what I'm doing. And as well, hopefully I can stream when I'm in Canada, but I'm going to get some of that sorted tonight. But yeah, the elephant graveyard video and channel I saw was pretty good. No such thing as Palestine is ground zero for Western testing human rights violations. Yeah, I think Palestine sets a precedent for what's going to unfold in the coming years. I think 100% that it sets a testing ground for what's going to come in over the coming years and just what they're going to do.
Rush hour, coming towards the end of rush hour. Give us a sense of who's using that area and the road behind you.
I mean, in general, this area is very busy. It's a place where Palestinians and Israelis intermingle, certainly in the queues of traffic. We're not far from the edge of the West Bank. It's just up there. We're between occupied...
I like how Palestinians intermingle is a funny way to fucking phrase it, because they're not intermingling.
East Jerusalem, and there's in the west side of Jerusalem as well. You've also got a number of Jewish settlements close to me. There's a lot of ultra-Orthodox Jewish residents in this neighborhood, and you can see that there is among the crowd here quite a lot of young men who are apparently ultra-Orthodox Jews. We're told about those people who were killed, just the smallest number of details at the moment, that it was a man and woman aged about 50 and 3 men aged about 30.
And Yolande, give us a sense, you said it was heightened security, given obviously the war in Gaza. Give us a sense of what that means in practice. Is it plenty of armed security services on the streets? Is it checkpoints to drive through for vehicles? Give us a sense of what day-to-day life is like there.
But like, it's just also... part of me finds this hard to talk about on this, because I don't want to watch like a video where they're just telling us everything that happened, to be honest. Because like what happened is, look, Israel refuses to give Palestinians a state. Israel refuses to stop killing Palestinians. Israel refuses to stop denying... Israel refuses to allow Palestinians to live their lives. And then, yeah, I meant to sit here and just be like, God, I can't believe that this is happening to that this is happening to Israelis. This is just kind of exactly what is the blowback from an occupation. In the same way that October the 7th existed as a result of an occupation that you deny. And this is not a deranged position. This is not just... This is what Amira Hass said. What do you expect people to do when they dig deep? When you won't let them out, they dig deep in the ground to defend themselves. And when people are like, they use civilians to do it. You know, in Vietnam, did you know that they used entire families to dig their tunnels? The families dug the tunnels. The old people would stand at the top and throw the dirt away, and people would dig it. All of this is just a blowback of occupation. Resistance isn't... there's not much to talk about, right? Resistance is an inevitable outcome. It is an inevitable outcome. And like people go, you're justifying it, and this doesn't help the situation. And it's like, bro, none of us are Palestinians. We don't live in the West Bank. You know, we are not living these lives, and these are barely living. I wish to reiterate that. These are not normal lives where you can't walk around, where you can't go to like the shops, you can't go to fucking like places that are nearby. Most Palestinians will never see Jerusalem, will never see Al-Quds, will never see anything. They will just be denied this right because they are Palestinian. Like, what is your expectation? That some people make the choice to engage in militant resistance? I won't sit there and condemn it. It is so ridiculous, and this is the problem with like Ethan and stuff, and the same people who come on my fucking lives, they just don't see Zionism for what it is. Zionism was always about this, denying Palestinians the right to live as equals in their historic homeland. I think also the lack of education on history plays a huge part in Zionism's death grip. You know what? It's so obvious though, if you're just... I think sometimes, like one of the guys today was just like ridiculousness, but there's also just an element of hating people who are different, of wanting to feel that actually no, it is so much easier to basically believe that there are just evil and bad people in the world who hate the West for no reason, who kill Jews for no reason. And it is not something that is fundamentally wrong and sick with Western society that continually justifies and accepts what Israel does. And when it comes to this, there are so many people who would rather live in that fantasy world than ever confront this traumatic thing of being a Westerner doesn't just make you good and moral, that we are wrong, that what we have done and justified across this world is so much it is so much of like a wrong and immoral, and how similar we are to the fucking Nazis. The Nazis are taught as an evil aberration rather than a product of extremist, racist identity politics, which saw certain others as responsible for the degradation of society. People weren't Nazis because they were uneducated. People were Nazis because it felt good and all of these things. You know? But, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, and I think that this is why it's, like, hard to talk about it, because I was thinking, oh no, I'll have another thing to see about this, but, like, I mean, this is all it'll be used as justification for. If you need proof why giving Palestinians a state is a horrific idea, look no further, and, oh, Palestinians are raised to kill us, they do these things to innocent Jews, and it's like, bro, it's not like these people who engage in militant resistance who are the problems. The problem is the occupation, which fundamentally moves you and motivates people to engage in violence, because this itself is a structure of violence. It is a structure of violence. And blowback is very good, especially for understanding things like the Korean War, and I assume that Angola one will be really good. But you cannot subjugate people forever. But it's also about seeing a form. It's like when colonizing Palestine is maybe the best for this, because when people are like, oh, the Jews just bought land, when they were buying land, they were not just buying land for just like, oh, that's okay and that's benign. They were still driving Palestinians off that land, destroying their society. News and ideas that there might be something about like an attempt to set up a new society in Palestine was there long before the people, that it was actually like being realized on the ground in terms of like, you know, oh, we're building fucking para-state institutions. People started to see themselves driven off the land. They started to see themselves not allowed to do things that historically they had been. And so what you see when you look at Palestine, not in a vacuum of just like events where, oh, violence this, violence that, but rather the structure of Zionism, you start to realize and see Israel exactly for what it is. And you can't excuse the apparatus that has helped it. 100%, and I think that this is the point again with Luigi Mangione. I think the best take on Luigi Mangione is no one wants to see people get shot in the street. Like, let's be frank, no one wants to see someone who's like a father of children, and if you knew that person, you'd probably be like, oh no, that's bad that happened. But like, ultimately, what provoked that action? A violent healthcare system. A healthcare system that degrades certain human beings and says, well, they're not worthy of treatment, they're just worthy of a slow death. You know, they're just worthy of a slow death, and that is it. Because they are poor, they just deserve to die. They deserve to have a lack of healthcare and all of these things. And I just think when you talk about it like that, you see it for what it actually is. But right, I think that's where I'm going to call the stream, because I've been live for a long ass time. I started at 3:30 and it's nearly fucking 8 p.m. Alright guys, thank you all for coming. I'll be back live tomorrow. And yeah, thank you all for coming and supporting, donating, everything. Thank you for making content creation and all of this stuff possible. So yeah, thank you very much. Called the stream because I've been live for a long ass time. I started at 3:30 and it's nearly 8 p.m. Alright guys, thank you all for coming. I'll be back live tomorrow. And yeah, thank you. When it much.